Hollywood director 1992. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination. So don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like. And if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 201 Box Office Ranking. Just then, the latest North American box office rankings were released. According to statistics from The Hollywood Reporter, 267 films were released in North America last year, grossing $4.82 billion. The top grossing film was Jurassic Park, with $357 million in North America and $1.02 billion worldwide. Second place went to Final Destination, with $241 million in North America and $396 million worldwide. Third was MRS. Doubtfire, with $219 million in North America and $441 million worldwide. Fourth was The Sugar Puff, with $207 million in North America and $290 million worldwide. Fifth was The Fugitive, with $183 million in North America and $368 million worldwide. Sixth was The Blair Witch Project, with $158 million in North America and $310 million worldwide. Seventh was Sleepless in Seattle, with $126 million in North America and $227 million worldwide. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective ranked 11th with $98.37 million. 3 of the top 12 films were from Guess the Movies. In addition, The Hollywood Reporter also listed the top 10 film companies in 1993, ranked according to the box office performance of their released films. First place, Warner Brothers. Last year, Warner Brothers released 24 films, including The Fugitive, The Pelican, Mermaid Tale, and Dragon Squad, grossing $650 million in North America and $1.57 billion worldwide, maintaining its position as the top-grossing film for the third consecutive year. Second place, Universal Pictures. Last year, Universal Pictures released 12 films, including Jurassic Park and Schindler's List, earning $580 million in North America and $1.66 billion worldwide. Its global box office was higher than Warner Brothers. Third place, Columbia Pictures, with films like Sleepless in Seattle, Cliffhanger, and Ace Ventura: Pet Detective performing well at the box office, grossing $537 million in North America. Fourth place, Paramount Pictures, with $512 million, with films like The Sugar Powder and Indecent Proposal performing well at the box office. Fifth place, 20th Century Fox, which released 16 films last year, including MRS. Doubtfire, The Rising Sun, and The Golden Arm Kid, grossing $485 million in North America. Sixth place, Guess the Movies, with $447 million in North America and $817 million worldwide. Guess the Movies released 5 films last year: The Blair Witch Project, The Wedding Banquet, Dazed and Reckless, Final Destination, and The Joy Luck Club. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective was distributed by Columbia Pictures. Final Destination grossed $241 million in North America. The Blair Witch Project grossed $158 million in North America. The Wedding Banquet, released in August, grossed $26.71 million in North America and $42.17 million worldwide, achieving a return of 56 times, making it the highest-grossing film in North America in 1993. Besides The Blair Witch Project, Dazed and Reckless, released in November, grossed $5.63 million in North America and $3.27 million internationally. The film had a production cost of $2.2 million and a return of approximately 4 times, making it a profitable film. The Joy Luck Club was released at the end of December. Its production cost was $10.5 million. After 14 weeks in North America, it grossed $20.37 million, and worldwide $35.83 million. If Ace Ventura: Pet Detective is included, the 6 films from Guess the Movies franchise have grossed a total of $536 million in North America and $889 million worldwide. Guess the Movies' total box office would surpass Paramount Pictures and 20th Century Fox, ranking 4th. 7th place, Disney. Last year, Disney released 15 films, none of which grossed over $100 million in North America. The best performer, Light Pool, grossed $68.85 million in North America, while the others were around $10 million. 8th place, MGM performed even worse, releasing 13 films last year. The highest-grossing film, Bonnie and Joan, only grossed $23.26 million in North America, and the 13 films grossed a total of $213 million in North America. 9th and 10th place are Miramax and New Line Cinema, respectively. Following the release of the film industry's box office results, Guess movies caused a sensation in the entertainment industry and on Wall Street. The Wall Street Journal described Guess movies' success as a Hollywood miracle. Founded in early 1992, the company, under Link's leadership, achieved numerous remarkable successes in the past 2 years. Among them, Paranormal Activity set a record for the highest box office return in history and was also the highest-grossing film of the year. Final Destination was the runner-up, and The Blair Witch Project was a prime example of a successful low-budget film, ranking 6th at the box office. Such achievements were unprecedented in the Hollywood film industry. Furthermore, in just 2 years, this independent film company surpassed Disney and MGM, two film industry giants with over 70 years of history, in terms of box office revenue. This can only be described as a miracle. After the release of the 1993 box office rankings, Wall Street consulting firms raised Guess movies' market capitalization to between $300 million and $350 million, second only to the Big Seven Studios and New Line Cinema. Link, however, maintained his valuation of Guess movies at $500 million. While Wall Street Capital was still hesitant, an investment firm called Flash Capital invested $100 million in Guess movies, acquiring a 20% stake. Guess movies' market value was thus inflated to $500 million. Damn it! Is this investment firm crazy? Guess movies, that little lousy company, is worth $500 million, Michael Ovitz cursed angrily upon receiving the news. If Flash Capital hadn't intervened, they could have negotiated with Link to get the most shares with the least amount of money. Now that Flash Capital had made its move, raising Guess movies' market value to $500 million, others either had to follow suit or give up. To buy Guess movies shares at a low price, they would have to wait until Guess movies' next film lost money. Langmuir lit a cigarette and said, "You underestimate Link. He's not just an ordinary film company owner, he's a multimillionaire. That Flash Capital might be one of his companies. Trying to cut your losses and recoup your bets will be very difficult." Michael Ovitz's face darkened. He had indeed intended to retaliate against Link by using the power of investors to suppress him. But Link wasn't short of money or connections. He could write scripts, direct films, and manage public relations. Such a person was very versatile, making him extremely difficult to deal with unless a massive investment of funds and connections was made to completely overwhelm Link. But even though it was risky, failure would result in even greater losses. Looking at Link's photo in the newspaper, Michael Ovitz regretted once again not signing Link in 1992, or letting Link's film flop and prevent him from establishing himself in Hollywood. Then he wouldn't be in this predicament now. Ring ring, the phone on the table rang. Michael Ovitz answered and listened for a few moments. It was Greg Davis, Chief Investment Officer of Vanguard Capital. Davis said Vanguard planned to invest in Guess the movie and asked him to contact Link so they could begin negotiations. Ovitz said Link's offer was too high and investing at this point wasn't worthwhile. He suggested continuing to pressure Guess the movie and forced Link to back down. Davis rejected the proposal, arguing that Guess the movie had immense potential and was worth investing in. Bankrupting a profitable company was not something an investment firm should do. Ovitz had no choice but to agree. Shortly after hanging up, Hank Paulson, a senior partner at Morgan Stanley, also called, proposing to invest in Guess the movie and asking Ovitz to help with negotiations. Michael Ovitz suggested that, influenced by the Hollywood Reporter's rankings, Guess the movie's current price was relatively high. He recommended waiting until Link's next film was released. If the box office was lower than expected, Guess the movie would definitely be affected, and then it would be a good time to invest. Hank Paulson chuckled and asked if he had made a mistake before when he bet with Link that Final Destination would underperform, and why he would repeat it. Hank Paulson said he was a great entrepreneur, but not a professional investor, and advised him against venture capital. Michael Ovitz blushed. Hank Paulson subtly implied that he was an amateur and shouldn't boss around experts. Michael Ovitz silently agreed, saying he would arrange it as soon as possible. Vanguard and Morgan are going to invest in Guess the Movie, Langmuir asked. Michael Ovitz frowned and nodded. As expected, Guess the Movie's productions have low budgets, high box office revenues, and higher net profits than the Big Seven studios. They've produced 6 films, all of which were huge hits, making the risk extremely low. In investors' eyes, Guess the Movies is a gold mine, so it's understandable that they're willing to invest up front, Langmuir said. Damn it. That guy won again. Michael Ovitz slammed his fist on the newspaper photo and reluctantly picked up the phone. Chapter 202 Triples Assets. After receiving the news, Link arranged for Michael Leeson to negotiate with the 2 investment companies. Vanguard Capital invested $60 million to buy a 12% stake in Guess the Movies, while Morgan Stanley invested $50 million for a 10% stake. Originally, the 2 investment companies wanted more than 40% of the shares to gain some control. Link refused, as handing the company over to Capital Control would be like having a de facto ruler, making things difficult for him. He proposed selling Guess the Movies to the 2 companies for $500 million, leaving with nothing. The 2 investment companies naturally refused. He was Guess the Movie's most valuable asset, and without him, the company was worthless. Considering Link's abilities and influence, the 2 companies agreed. During the negotiations, other investors also wanted to invest in Guess the Movies, but Link refused them all. The first round of financing had already released 42% of the shares, no more could be added. Other investors would have to wait for the second round. After the 3 parties, Golden Capital, Vanguard Capital, and Morgan Stanley, invested, Guess the Movies established a board of directors. Link serves as chairman and CEO, holding 53% of the company's shares. Flash Capital holds 20%, Vanguard Capital 12%, and Morgan Stanley 10%. The remaining 5% is held by several senior executives, including Joe Ferrero, James Shamus, Daniel DeVito, John Gordon, Michael Leeson, and Liu Xiaoli. After making money, Link continued to increase his holdings in technology stocks through Flash Capital, including 4.02% of Microsoft, 1.38% of Cisco, 87% of Marvel Entertainment, and 20% of Guess the Movies. The total value is approximately $1.2 billion. His Microsoft shares have grown rapidly, reaching a peak market capitalization of $28.5 billion. It is expected that Microsoft's market capitalization will experience a surge after the release of Windows 95 next year. Cisco Networking Systems currently has a market capitalization of $4.5 billion and primarily sells network equipment. Benefiting from the information superhighway policy, it is also in the early stages of rapid development, with significant investment potential. This is the share that several investment executives at Flash Capital recommended for purchase. Link also invested $125 million to acquire 87% of Marvel Entertainment, bringing the remaining superhero characters under Marvel's umbrella into his possession, including Spider-Man, Hulk, Fantastic Four, Blade, Deadpool, Venom, and others. He also plans to use a large sum of money to buy back all the superhero characters he sold within the next 5 years, including Iron Man, Wolverine, and the X-Men. With these superhero characters, Guess Movies will have no shortage of high-quality film projects for the next 30 years. Finally done. After signing the last contract, Link put down his pen and stretched. You've worked hard these past few days. Do you want to take a break and rest for a few days? Liu Xiaoli asked. During this time, she accompanied Link on his travels, watching him negotiate with several investment companies, sometimes reviewing documents until midnight and then getting up the next day to continue meetings. After more than 20 consecutive days of work, Guess Movies finally stabilized. All of this was thanks to Link. If it weren't for his calm and rational approach, Guess Movies would have been completely devoured by Wall Street capital as soon as it rose to prominence. There's no time to rest. After finishing the company's work, I still need to check on the post-production of 7, and this year's film projects also need approval. There's just too much to do. Link shook his head helplessly. After finishing the financing, there was still a mountain of internal company documents, all piled up in his office, waiting for him to process. He would need to work overtime for a few more days before he could rest. There's so much work, when will it ever be finished? You should find a chance to rest when you can. Your health is more important than work. Liu Xiaoli walked behind him and gently massaged his shoulder. Don't worry, I'm in good health, Link patted the back of her hand. Want to come to my house for dinner on Saturday? Liu Xiaoli asked softly. Okay, it was rare for Liu Xiaoli to take the initiative to invite him, so Link readily agreed and kissed her soft hand. Don't overthink it. Chen Chong and Wu Junmei want to see you. Last year you mentioned investing in Chinese language films, and I told them. They're very interested. If you're serious, I'll ask them to come over and talk about work? You just told me to rest more, and now you want me to come to your house to talk about work? If it's just work, they can come to the office. We should be doing something more important at your house. Link put his arm around her waist, his hand unconsciously sliding inside her clothes, resting on her most comfortable spot. Liu Xiaoli's cheeks flushed, and she glared at him. Can't you be serious? You're a big boss on the Forbes rich list now, always saying such inappropriate things. Forbes? What's Forbes? It's not like I'm on it for the first time. Forbes doesn't attract me as much as you do. Link glanced at the new edition of Forbes on the table, still keeping his attention on the woman in his arms. The latest Forbes Global Rich list was released yesterday. On the Forbes Global Billionaires list, Link ranked 472nd with a total net worth of $1.45 billion, moving up more than 500 places from last year. On the Forbes 400 list of richest Americans, Link ranked 203rd, making him the youngest billionaire on the list. According to Forbes, his assets mainly consist of two parts, a 96% stake in Flash Capital and a 53% stake in Guess the Movies. Forbes valued Flash Capital at $1.2 billion and Guess the Movies at $350 million. On the Forbes Celebrity Earnings list, Link ranked second with $155 million in earnings, second only to director Steven Spielberg, who earned $210 million last year from films like Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. Link's income last year came from royalties on Interstellar, director's fees for 2 films, screenwriting income for 3 films, and performance-based bonuses. Forbes magazine also listed a Chinese rich list, with Link ranking 6th, only behind the Li Ka-shing family, the Li Xiaoji family, and the Zhang Yutong family. After Forbes exposed his wealth, negative news about him in the media decreased significantly. However, the capital-coveting Guess the Movies still exists, and compared to those large capital groups, over $1 billion is just child's play. If he wants to continue to grow and strengthen his position in Hollywood, he needs to continue making movies, earning more money, and controlling more capital. Knock knock knock. Just as Link was holding Liu Xiaoli, preparing to be unrestrained, there was a knock on the door. Liu Xiaoli immediately sobered up, slapped his big pig's trotter away, hurriedly straightened her clothes, and sat down in the chair opposite him. Her delicate face became serious again. If it weren't for the lingering blush on her face and the strange smell emanating from her body, the scene just now would seem like a hallucination. You have the talent to be an actor, Link said with a smile, sniffing his fingers. Stop fooling around, get down to business, okay, Link called out as he entered. His assistant, Annie, came in and told him that 7 was finished, and the production department had called to ask when he would have time to watch it. Link said he was free in the afternoon. That afternoon, Link went to the company's screening room and watched 7. The film took over 3 months to shoot, 3 weeks to edit, and the production department spent over a month on post-production. Overall, it looked very polished. The music, reverb, and color were all excellent. Because he had extremely high standards for the camera work and the actors during filming, the cast and crew performed very well. This version was in no way inferior to the original. Film production complete, box office subsidies are being tallied, host participation rate 68.1%, film completion rate 93.3%, film's market fit 75%, rewards 2.6x box office subsidy, director experience plus 20%, director stamina plus 20%, film quality increase plus 15%. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203 Beauty Fei Hong. After receiving the notification, Link took the master tape back to the production studio and watched it several times. With a 15% enhancement, the film's quality was significantly improved. The lighting, color, and sound were more harmonious, The shots had a much higher quality, and the actors' performances were more impactful. Link took notes while watching, not only identifying differences but also learning to minimize mistakes in future shoots and achieve a completion rate of over 99% without the enhancement. However, this enhancement seemed advanced, like a higher dimensional technology, and wouldn't be easy to learn in a short time. After watching, Link returned the master tape to the production department and notified the distribution department to arrange the film's release. 7 now had a 75% market fit, higher than the previous film. Releasing it early would maximize profits. Link, this film looks much more refined than yesterday's, Daniel DeViro and the production team asked Link after watching the new version of 7. I did a thorough retouching. Take another look and see if there are any problems. If not, I'll make more changes, Link said, yawning. No need to change it. This movie is fantastic. Changing it would ruin its integrity. In my mind, it's a perfect movie, absolutely perfect. Daniel DeVito adjusted his glasses, his large face flushed with excitement. Yes, its artistic level is no less than Spielberg's Schindler's List. I suggest using this movie to compete for next year's Oscars. Maybe we can win a few major awards, said producer James Shamus. Assistant director Paul Thomas Anderson and others nodded repeatedly. 7 was indeed of a very high standard. During the previous internal screening, he gave the film 85 points, now it would be at least 90. And giving it a perfect score wouldn't be an exaggeration. Paul Anderson greatly admired Link. He joined Link's crew while filming Final Destination, initially thinking that Link could only direct commercial films like Paranormal Activity, The Blair Witch Project, and Final Destination. As an artsy director, he initially looked down on Link's films and didn't really recognize Link's directing abilities. During the filming of Final Destination and 7, he witnessed Link's meticulous work style, superb camera work, and masterful editing skills. What impressed him even more was Link's ability to handle both commercial and art house films with equal skill, making commercial films universally appealing and art house films profound and sophisticated, achieving a high level of artistry. This surpasses 99% of his peers in the film industry, and only a very few directors like Spielberg can achieve this. Paul W.S. Anderson decided to stay with Link and learn filmmaking techniques from him. Let's not worry about the Oscars for now. Let's release it as planned. It's better if the Academy is willing to award it, but we don't need to force it. We'll have more opportunities in the future, Link said, waving his hand. If 7 is to compete for an Oscar, it's best to release it at the end of the year, when the Oscar voters are preparing to vote. Good films released during that period are more likely to gain the voters' favor. However, Link didn't think the Academy would award the Best Director prize to this 22-year-old Chinese newcomer. Especially given his poor reputation in the film industry, he was called a trash director and a disruptor of the film market. The Oscar judges were mostly older filmmakers who favored art house films and were conservative in their thinking. Winning the Best Director Oscar would be more difficult for Link than for most directors in the industry. Hearing this, Daniel DeViro and the others stopped trying to persuade him. After Link left, they gathered again and watched 7 twice, praising it highly. Daniel DeViro suggested submitting 7 to the Cannes Film Festival to gain international recognition, saving on promotional costs later. Link didn't object. After finishing with 7, on Saturday, Link left work early and drove to Rex's apartment. Mr. Lin, you're here, Lin K., long time no see. You look even more handsome. Hello, Mr. Lin. Just as he arrived at the apartment door, it opened from the inside. Chen Chong and Wu Junmei, dressed in stylish clothes and with exquisite makeup, stood at the door to greet him, their eyes filled with eagerness. Behind them stood a pretty girl, wearing a t-shirt and blue jeans. Her attire was fresh and clean, though her appearance was slightly older than her age, but her oval face was delicate. This girl was Yu Fihong, one of the leading actresses in the Joy Luck Club. Yu Fihong is 22 years old this year and graduated from the Beijing Film Academy. Last year, she was invited to play the role of Yingying in the Joy Luck Club. The Joy Luck Club finished filming in July, was released in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan in October, and in North America in December. Currently, it has grossed $28.35 million worldwide, with both critical and commercial success. Yu Fihong also rose to fame because of this film and is now preparing to study Hollywood film art and technology in the United States. Lin K had seen her once before on the set of the Joy Luck Club, so they weren't exactly strangers. Which school is Miss Yu planning to attend? Lin K asked, putting on his coat and sitting down. I applied to 6 universities and am still waiting for their replies. I'm not sure which one I'll attend, Yu Fihong replied softly, standing next to Wu Junmei. She avoided looking at him too much, appearing rather nervous and shy. Chen Chong put her arm around Yu Fihong's shoulder and laughed. The USC Film School is great. Spielberg, George Lucas, and Ron Howard are all USC graduates. Yu Fihong glanced at Link, wrung her hands, and said, I also applied to USC, but the USC Film School only accepts a limited number of international exchange students each year, so it's very difficult for most people to get accepted. Wu Junmei poured Link a cup of tea. It doesn't matter where you study. Link didn't go to film school, yet he still made so many good films. He's not from an academic background, but his abilities are stronger than many film school masters and PhDs. Link smiled. Going to school is a great thing. I didn't go to university because I didn't have the money or the opportunity. If I had the means, I would have been happy to study at university for a few years before becoming a director. Chen Chong laughed. Link, you're not that old yet, only 22, younger than many college students. It's not too late for you to go to university now. Link doesn't need to go to university. With his level, he'd be more than qualified to be a professor in a university film department. Wu Junmei chimed in. Chen Chong quickly chimed in. What are you talking about? Liu Xiaoli came out of the kitchen, wearing a white LV dress with a blue apron over it. A pearl necklace adorned her fair swan-like neck, making her appear graceful and radiant, like a virtuous wife and loving mother. We were talking about Fei Hong's schooling. Lin K said he also wants to go to university, Chen Chong said. Liu Xiaoli looked at Lin K and laughed. He doesn't have time for school. There's a mountain of things waiting for him at the company. If he wants to go to school, he'll have to close the company first. Wu Junmei teased, isn't there you? I heard that when Lin K is filming, you manage the film company. Everyone says you're Lin K's capable assistant. Don't talk nonsense. I only handle public relations at the company. Other things aren't my responsibility, and I can't manage them, Liu Xiaoli said. Chen Chong laughed. There was a lot of news about Guess the Movies in the latter half of last year. You could see it in the newspaper every day, and there were even news reports of you representing Guess the Movies answering reporters' questions. Xiaoli, you're becoming more and more like a strong woman. It's all because of Link. I originally only wanted to be an assistant, but he insisted on putting me in the public relations department, Liu Xiaoli said, looking somewhat unhappy. Link smiled and didn't refute Liu Xiaoli's words. After chatting for a few more minutes, Liu Xiaoli went back to the kitchen to cook. Chen Chong and Wu Junmei both said they wanted to show off their skills to Link and rolled up their sleeves to go to the kitchen as well. Link, Yu Fihong, and Liu Kaianqian watched TV and chatted outside. Chapter 204 A Special Tutor. Uncle Lin, you haven't come to see me and Mom for days. Mom said you're very busy. What have you been doing? Liu Kaianqian hugged the panda toy he had just bought, blinking her big, clear eyes at him. Filming a movie. After filming, I have to edit it and do media interviews. You saw my interview on that channel just now, Lin K chuckled, stroking the little girl's bubbly hair. Are you done with your work now? Yes. Do you need me for anything? I want to go to Disneyland. I'm so tired of doing homework, practicing piano, and dancing every day. Okay, I'll take you this weekend. Lin K smiled. Yu Fihong drank tea nearby, listening to their conversation without interrupting. Before coming to Liu Xiaoli's house, she had heard Chen Chong and Wu Junmei talk about Lin K and Liu Xiaoli. Everyone marveled at Liu Xiaoli's good fortune in meeting such a benefactor as Lin K. With Lin K around, Liu Xiaoli had no worries about food or drink, had a stable place to live, and earned hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. After becoming the official spokesperson for Guess the Movies, Liu Xiaoli became an industry star, gaining fame and status. Chen Chong and Wu Junmei often lamented that they hadn't met Link sooner. If they had met him before he became famous, with his resources, it wouldn't have been difficult for them to become second-tier stars in Hollywood. Although Chen Chong and Wu Junmei hadn't spoken about Link's relationship with Liu Xiaoli, they could guess from the tone and look in Liu Xiaoli's eyes when she spoke to Link that the two were very close. Link was also very good to Liu Kaianqian, like a father taking care of his daughter. Ms. Yu, are you getting used to America? Link asked. Yu Fihong snapped out of her reverie and quickly replied, at first, I wasn't used to it, mainly because of the language barrier, but it's much better now. It's quite chaotic here in America. If you need any help, you can call me. Link handed her a business card. Okay, thank you, Mr. Lin. Yu Fihong blushed as she accepted the card and carefully closed it in her palm. Dinner's ready, the food was ready, and Liu Xiaoli, Chen Chong, and Wu Junmei, the three young women, brought the dishes to the table. It was a large table full of Chinese dishes, all beautifully presented and delicious. Liu Kaianqian, drawn by the aroma, darted out like a little rabbit, followed by Lin Ke and Yu Fihong to the restaurant. During their meal, they casually discussed investing in Chinese language films. He had previously spoken briefly with Liu Xiaoli in his office, who relayed the news to Chen Chong and Wu Junmei, both of whom expressed interest. Now, they were simply curious about the scale of Lin Ke's investment. The larger the investment, the more resources they could share, making it worth their effort. Lin Ke's answer was that the initial investment would be no less than $30 million, equivalent to over 200 million RMB. Currently, domestic film and television production costs are extremely low. Last year's blockbuster Farewell My Concubine had a production cost of only $4 million. The Hong Kong box office champion Flirting Scholar cost less than $3 million, and the action blockbuster Tai Chi Master cost less than $10 million. $30 million was enough to produce more than 10 films. Of course, this was only the initial investment. If the investment returned well, he would continue to increase the investment. He had $140 million in his Citibank account in Hong Kong, money he didn't plan to transfer back. In terms of capital, few at Rwanda University could match him. When Chen Chong and Wu Junmei heard he was going to invest over 200 million in domestic films, their faces flushed, and they spoke to him more softly, hoping for a collaboration opportunity. Link, why don't you also start a film company in China, and collaborate with mainland studios through it? That would be more convenient, Chen Chong suggested tactfully. That's something we've considered, Link replied. He and Liu Xiaoli had discussed opening a branch in China privately. However, the most important thing for starting a company in China wasn't capital, but connections. Not just connections in the entertainment industry, but also connections with government departments. Without connections, it's difficult to last. Therefore, before starting a company, he needed to find a capable partner. Originally, he planned to give this position to Liu Xiaoli, but she wasn't very career-driven. After finishing her work each day, she would go home to exercise, pamper herself, and manage Liu Kaianqian. She was satisfied with her current life and had no intention of returning to China to start a company and become a female tycoon in the entertainment industry. Chen Chong and Wu Junmei, both actresses, had virtually no management skills. Investing in the films they recommended was fine, but having them manage a company was probably unsuitable. Link, why don't you invest in an existing film company? China has been undergoing reforms in recent years, and the film industry is also reforming. Since 1992, many film companies have emerged. You could find a well-developed investment company and invest in films through that, which would also reduce your workload. Wu Junmei picked up the teapot and smiled as she poured him tea. Link nodded, that's a good suggestion. Currently, film production in China is still dominated by a few major studios, which are state-owned enterprises. There aren't many private film companies, and their development is not good. The earliest ones were a few, such as Chinese Brothers Film Company. Chinese Brothers started by producing television dramas and gradually entered the film industry, investing in and producing films such as Devils on the Doorstep, Endless, The Emperor and the Assassin, and ASI, gradually developing into a successful company. Most other film companies only began to emerge in the film and television industry after 2008. Therefore, given the current situation, neither starting a film company nor investing in other film companies is as advantageous as collaborating with film studios as a foreign invested enterprise. Currently, China is encouraging foreign investment in the mainland, and investing in films as overseas capital can secure some policy benefits. After consideration, Lin Ke decided to pursue a three-pronged approach. First, establishing an investment company in Hong Kong, primarily investing in real estate, technology, and entertainment industries. The entertainment sector mainly includes film and television production. Whether to establish a company to make films or invest in other entertainment companies depends on timing. The domestic film and television industry still needs several years of exploration to develop, so there's no need to rush. However, Chen Chong and Wu Junmei are more anxious. Hearing that he was willing to invest, they proposed returning to China to find suitable film projects, hoping to gain his support. Lin K agreed, as long as the script is good and there's no significant loss, he's willing to invest in a few as a trial. How could you just agree to their investment? They're actors, all they know is how to make movies, they don't understand film investment at all. After seeing Chen Chong and the others off, Liu Xiaoli was cleaning up the dishes in the kitchen, putting the plates and bowls into the dishwasher, grumbling as she did so. Lin K leaned against the counter, drinking barley tea. They don't understand, but I do. I can roughly estimate 3 or 4 out of 10 whether a script has investment value after reading it once. If I'm confident about that, I can invest. As for the risks, all investments have risks. You can carefully avoid them when investing, so there's no need to worry too much. You're always so bold. Last year you bet tens of millions with someone, making a scene known to the whole world and causing a lot of people to be envious. Don't gamble anymore. Gambling is bad, I know. I don't like gambling either. Lin K smiled, watching Liu Xiaoli bend over cleaning up the kitchen. Her slender waist was visible beneath her fitted skirt, and her full, rounded figure was faintly visible, like an uneaten peach on the counter. Lin K put down his cup, walked over, and hugged her waist, his hands and bottom sliding down together. Stop it, can't you see I'm tidying up? Liu Xiaoli glanced at the door. Keep tidying up, don't worry about me. Link, smelling the fragrance in her hair and the aroma from the kitchen, continued what he was doing. You, don't do it here. It's not good if Kyankian sees. Kyankian is taking a nap, I checked. Let's be quiet, we won't disturb her, Link said, kissing her fair collarbone. Liu Xiaoli rolled her eyes at him, half-heartedly yielding to him in the kitchen. They turned on the power switch, and the dishwasher started running. The thumping sound masked the other noises. Their shady behavior didn't disturb Kyankian's rest. Chapter 205 Visitors from Hong Kong. After taking a shower at Liu Xiaoli's house and changing into casual clothes, Lin K came out to find the sun shining brightly, large and round, its warmth carrying a pleasant scent. Link, before he could get into his car, Chen Chong, who was supposed to leave, got out of the car ahead, wearing a black miniskirt, carrying a small handbag, and walking towards him with a lingering fragrance. Chen Chong was 33 years old, young and energetic, and knew how to dress well. Coupled with her celebrity status, she was considered a beautiful young woman by many men. Chen Chong, what are you still doing here? I've been waiting for you here. You look great. Did Xiaoli give you some special treatment? How was it? Chen Chong stood less than 2 feet away from him, her lips curling into a suggestive smile. No. What do you need? My car broke down. Can I hitch a ride? Chen Chong smiled, tilting her head. Please. Lin K wasn't worried about her playing any tricks. He invited her into the car and instructed the driver to take them back to the company. The Porsche minivan slowly drove along the bustling Hollywood Boulevard. Link opened the bottle, poured a glass of sparkling wine, and handed it to Chen Chong. Chen Chong thanked him, swirled the wine in her glass, and smiled. Link, I'm planning to go back to China next month to see if there are any film projects worth investing in. Do you have any suggestions? Link thought for a moment and said, the Hong Kong film industry is quite competitive, and the market is basically saturated. Investing in films there isn't very worthwhile. Commercial films on the mainland generally don't perform well, and the policies aren't very supportive. I'll focus on art films. If they're well made, they can be profitable overseas, like some of Zhang Yimou's films. Chen Chong smiled. China has only recently opened up to the world, and people are relatively conservative. Many directors are still making model operas. These kinds of films can only be shown domestically, they have basically no market overseas. However, in the last 2 years, some promising new directors have emerged in China, such as Jiang Wen, Jia Zhang, Lu Yi, and Guan Hu. They're new to the industry and need money. We could invest in their films and establish long-term partnerships with them. Link nodded, agreeing with Chen Chong's words. After a few serious remarks, Chen Chong put down his wine glass, winked, and smiled. Link, I invited you to my house for dinner last time, but you never had time. Now that the movie is finished, when do you have time to come over? I'll cook Sichuan food for you. By the way, I can also cook for you separately. I guarantee it won't be any worse than Xiaoli's. Chen Chong's tone became ambiguous. Where do you live? 1750 Wilson Avenue, San Marino. Can you come tomorrow? Chen Chong asked expectantly. I don't have time these few days. I'm busy with a lot of things at the company. Let's talk about it in a couple of days. Really? Link, you're a grown man. You should keep your word. Don't stand me up again, okay? Chen Chong looked aggrieved. I won't this time. Link didn't need to renege on this. Whether it was Chen Chong inviting him to dinner or anything else, he had a good appetite and could digest anything. The car dropped Chen Chong off at the intersection and continued for about 200 meters before stopping in front of the Guess the Movies studio. Back at the company, Link continued working on the films. With 1994 approaching, the company needed to develop a New Year's work plan, primarily focusing on film production and distribution. Currently, Guess C Pictures had 5 films awaiting release. 7. Ang Lee's Eat Drink Man Woman, Dumb and Dumber, a collaboration between Guess C Pictures and New Line Cinema, Steven Soderbergh's The Untold Story, and Speed, a new project with Mark Gordon Studios. These 5 films were already completed, and except for Speed, the other 4 were finished and awaiting suitable release dates. 7 more films were in development. The Mask, Jim Carrey's third comedy film, Before Sunrise, directed by Richard Linklater, Sense and Sensibility, directed by Ang Lee, and Link's new project, The Butterfly Effect. However, while preparing for the films, director Wayne Wang and his wife, Miao Qianrun, invited him to their home. He was introduced to 3 filmmakers from Hong Kong: Zhu Hongyan, daughter of Golden Harvest boss Zhu Wenhui, Kung Fu star Chen Long, and renowned director Stanley Tong. In recent years, the Hong Kong film market has become extremely competitive. Last year alone, Hong Kong produced a staggering 405 films, with 236 released, comparable to the United States. With so many films released in a limited audience, a situation of too many cooks spoiling the broth inevitably arises. Competition among film companies has intensified, leading to many companies going bankrupt due to unprofitable films. In this context, many filmmakers have turned to Hollywood, including actors and behind-the-scenes workers. A successful example is director John Woo, whose first Hollywood film, Hard Target, released last June, achieved a huge success, grossing $32.58 million in North America and $74.18 million worldwide. Other notable Chinese directors include Ang Lee, Wayne Wang, and Link, who also performed well last year. The success of these directors has greatly encouraged Hong Kong filmmakers, prompting more to try their luck in Hollywood. Chen Long is one such example. This year, Golden Harvest plans to produce an action blockbuster set in the United States to enter the North American market. The film's production cost is approximately $8 million, equivalent to over 100 million Hong Kong dollars. The risk is considerable. To mitigate this risk, Golden Harvest sought a Hollywood film company to collaborate with it before filming began. It's rumored that Link, the owner of Guess Me Pictures, is friendly towards Chinese Americans and has invested in films directed by Wayne Wang and Ang Lee. This company is also very powerful, currently the strongest in Hollywood's independent film sector. After Golden Harvest's current president, Zhu Hongyan, visited the United States, he asked director Wayne Wang to act as an intermediary to introduce Link. Link was quite surprised to see Chen Long at Wang's home. Chen Long is a world-class kung fu superstar, and several of his upcoming Hollywood films have performed well at the box office, including Rumble in the Bronx and the Rush Hour series. Collaborating with him would be a good opportunity. This time, Golden Harvest is bringing Rumble in the Bronx to the project. After reviewing the script and film production plan, Link agreed to invest, on the condition that Guess C Pictures would handle the North American promotion and distribution of Rumble in the Bronx, and would provide Golden Harvest with a share of the profits. Golden Harvest readily agreed. Rumble in the Bronx was their stepping stone into Hollywood, and Link, being of Chinese descent, possessed influence there, making collaboration an excellent choice. With the investment in Rumble in the Bronx secured, Guess C Pictures added another film project to its portfolio for the year. Chapter 206 Special Tutoring Again. The 6th film project was Good Will Hunting, a screenplay Matt Damon wrote while in college. The screenplay, written in 1992 as a drama assignment at Harvard University, was titled The Coming-of-Age Story of Young Genius Will Hillman. Ben Affleck offered some suggestions, and it became a formal film script. 2 years ago, after arriving in Hollywood, they submitted their scripts like Link in the movie. Because the script was excellent, it was quickly noticed by Castle Stone Pictures producer Patrick Weitzel, who bought the film rights for $150,000. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were willing to work with Castle Stone Pictures, but on one condition: they wanted to star in the film and participate in the production, having some decision-making power. Castle Stone Pictures was unwilling to cast two newcomers as leads, nor did they want them, young and inexperienced, to interfere in the film's production. To persuade them to abandon this idea, Castle Stone Pictures told them there were problems with the script and asked them to take it back for revisions. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck revised it over 30 times, but Castle Stone Pictures was still not satisfied and wanted them to continue revising. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck inquired about possible revisions. Castle Rock Studios offered no suggestions and told them to continue revising. Matt Damon suspected that Castle Rock hadn't even read the script after receiving it. To verify this, they deliberately added a scene where the male lead is seen applying glue in his office. Castle Rock's production department still offered no feedback after receiving the revised script. Frustrated, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck abandoned their collaboration with Castle Rock. After filming Seven, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck approached Guessing Pictures with a script, hoping they would invest in the film. Link, after reading the script, asked them to remove the glue-applying scene and said he would consider investing. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were immediately delighted, but they mentioned wanting to play the lead roles and participate in the film's production. Link didn't object, agreeing to cast Matt Damon as the male lead and Ben Affleck as a supporting actor, considered compensation for not casting Matt in Seven. He would also serve as a producer on the film. Good Will Hunting became Guessing Pictures' sixth film project this year. During this time, he also took some time to visit Chen Chong's home and ate the Sichuan cuisine she cooked. During the meal, Chen Chong proactively prepared a special meal for him. Link wasn't oblivious to romance and didn't refuse her special service. This woman was 33 years old, a bit older, but very understanding. Whatever he wanted to eat, she would try her best to satisfy him, showcasing her best culinary skills, fearing he wouldn't enjoy his meal. However, Link's physical abilities had recently increased dramatically, with strength, speed, and endurance all improving by 20%, and his appetite had also increased. When preparing special meals at Liu Xiaoli's house, he was more restrained, not using too much heat. With Chen Chong, he didn't need to worry so much. In the end, Chen Chong ate too much and almost ended up in the hospital. Knock knock knock. Come in. The office door opened, and Sofia and Mila Jovovich walked in, carrying several shopping bags and exuding a sunny aura. They had just returned from shopping and stopped by Guess the Movie's studio for a visit. Link, what are you doing, looking at some documents? Did you guys just go shopping? We're not like you, working all day long, so boring. Sofia came in, handed the shopping bags to Mila Jovovich, then plopped down on the desk, picking up an ornament to play with. Nice legs, Link smiled, looking at her thighs in hot pants. Sofia lifted her thighs a little, less than a foot away from him. Yesterday you said you were going to adapt a story from Interstellar into a movie. Which one are you going to adapt? This one. Link rummaged through the back bookshelf, pulling out a script titled The Man from Earth. A screenplay adapted from that novel. The Man from Earth tells the story of John Oldman, a 35-year-old Harvard history professor who resolutely resigns after 10 years of work. His colleagues come to see him off and try to persuade him to stay. These colleagues include several historians, Christian translators, biologists, psychologists, and others. During the conversation, John Oldman suddenly told everyone that he was a caveman who had lived for 14,000 years. Biologist Harry, archaeologist Art Jenkins, psychologist Dr. Will Gruber, and others didn't believe him, thinking John Oldman was crazy. Historian Sandy, Christian translator Edith, and others believed John Oldman's words. This led to an academic debate, and both sides were eventually convinced by John Oldman. You want to make this? Sofia had read the novel. Why not make Interstellar, The Martian, or Gravity? Those three novels would be even more exciting as movies. This project has a small investment and is easier to film. Other projects require more special effects, which are more expensive. Besides, current CGI technology isn't mature enough, and the quality of the film can't be guaranteed. I don't want to ruin these three intellectual properties, Link said. That makes sense. When will this movie be made? I have two big projects on my plate and don't have time for this. Are you interested in directing this film? Link said. Me. Sofia glanced at the script and chuckled. Aren't you worried I'll ruin this script? I believe you can do it. Sofia had worked with him on 3 films, including The Blair Witch Project, Final Destination, and Seven, serving as a scene director. She completed many shots in all 3 films. Now, Sofia was considered a fairly experienced director. She could try directing. Besides, this film had a relatively low production cost. Filming only required a room with a fireplace, 8 actors, no special effects, no dubbing, and not many props. The main content of the film was the actors debating in the room. The production cost was approximately $20,000. If it was bad, they could just reshoot it. The reason Link didn't direct it himself was that the film's content was too bland, the dialogue too profound, and difficult to understand on a first viewing, making it unsuitable for theatrical release and thus lacking box office subsidies. The original version wasn't shown in theaters either, but was released on video, grossing over $350 million worldwide. Link, thank you, Sofia excitedly hugged and kissed him. Milla Jovovich, sipping tea on the sofa, blushed slightly upon seeing the two cuddling at her desk. She walked to the door and closed it. Before the 2 women arrived, Link had intended to work overtime in the office. However, Sofia mentioned that she and Milla had bought several sexy Victoria's Secret evening gowns while shopping and asked if he wanted to see them. Link, not wanting to be impolite, went with them and spent a vibrant evening together. Leaving Sofia's apartment, Link sat in his car, gazing at the bustling world outside the window, thinking about Liu Xiaoli's warm chicken soup, Chen Chong's spicy hot pot, Sofia and Milla Jovovich's Western-style cooking, and Monica and Jennifer's home-cooked meals. He couldn't help but sigh. After achieving success, the temptations increased, and maintaining the same high moral standards as before became difficult. After this brief lapse, Link returned to the office to handle his work. Chapter 207 Box Office Failure. On Friday, Guess Play's first film of the year, The Unexpected Murder, opened in North America. In its opening week of previews, it grossed $143,000 in 8 theaters, averaging less than $3,000 per theater per day, below the minimum guaranteed gross. This performance should have led to its withdrawal, but Link, not wanting to discourage director Steven Soderbergh, instructed the distribution department to continue showing The Unexpected Murder. After 4 weeks in theaters across 143 locations in North America, the film grossed $783,000, with an average occupancy rate of less than 30%, and is projected to gross around $1 million. With a production cost of $1.2 million and a marketing cost of $500,000, the film needs to gross over $2 million to break even. In short, the film lost money, losing over $1 million, marking Guess Play's first unprofitable film. The news was subsequently reported by many media outlets. The Los Angeles Times headline that day was Guess Play Film's box office flop. The Hollywood Reporter's headline was Link's new film suffers first box office failure. Other media outlets, including USA Today, Newsweek, and Variety, also gave prominent coverage to this news. They claim that The Strange Murder set a new record for the lowest box office revenue for a Guessing Pictures film, shattering Link's myth of 100% profit on film investments. Some media outlets, noting the company's recent first round of financing, suspected that Guessing Pictures, like other companies, faced pressure from the board after the financing round, leading to intensified internal strife and ultimately the film's failed release. From this, the media concluded that Guessing Pictures was on a downward spiral and would find it difficult to replicate the glory of the past 2 years. Damn it! Why wasn't this lousy movie released earlier? Michael Ovitz was overjoyed, but also somewhat angry, upon hearing that Guessing Pictures' film had lost money. If the film had been released a few weeks earlier, Link would never have dared to ask for $500 million during the financing round. Now that the financing was over, it was too late. Leading Capital called Link to inquire why The Strange Murder had expanded its release despite the lower-than-expected preview screenings. Without expanding the release, the company wouldn't have lost millions. Link told them not to interfere with company management and that he could withdraw his investment anytime. Leading Capital had nothing to say. He was willing to lose money distributing The Unusual Murderer for 2 reasons. First, he was investing in director Steven Soderbergh, who had immense potential and was expected to outperform Quentin Tarantino in commercial films. He believed that supporting Soderbergh now would recoup his losses later through other projects. Second, he was essentially investing heavily in a promising independent director. Independent directors are often arrogant and, even if their films fail, they don't blame the film itself but rather the distribution company for inadequate promotion, low screening rates, or short release periods. The Unusual Murderer had poor preview screenings, but guests see pictures, believing in its potential, persisted in distributing it, demonstrating that they weren't solely focused on statistics. This was his way of attracting other filmmakers. This was his intention, something outsiders didn't understand. When Steven Soderbergh met him at a party, he seemed very embarrassed. Link, I felt pretty good making The Unusual Murderer. I didn't expect the box office to be so bad, Soderbergh sighed, shaking his gleaming bald head in the bar. It's normal for movies to make or lose money. Nobody expects your movie to be profitable. Besides, this is an art film, so nearly $1 million in box office isn't bad, Link comforted him. Quentin put his feet up on the table, smoking a cigarette, and said, Steven, don't feel bad about the movie losing money. Link approved this project, and he also made the decision to expand the distribution scale. Losing money means you had poor judgment, it has nothing to do with you, Link laughed. Although Quentin isn't good with words, he's right about this. In principle, I bear more responsibility. No, it's because I didn't make it well. I didn't realize it while making the movie, but after watching it in the theater and reading other people's reviews, I suddenly realized that the movie had huge problems. I really didn't make this movie well. Steven Soderbergh touched his bald head, looking full of regret. Don't be discouraged. Even if the box office results aren't good, there's still revenue from video sales and television rights. This project might not necessarily lose money, but guess what? The studio used to make 100% profit on its films, and now it's suddenly losing money with me. What's going on? Steven Soderbergh felt deeply guilty. Link smiled. Actually, he didn't want every film in the company to make money either. Making 10 films a year, 7 or 8 making money, and 2 or 3 losing money, was the normal phenomenon. Quentin said, Steven, don't worry about it. Link is worth over $1 billion. A loss of a few $100,000 is nothing to him. Link laughed, it's really nothing. Although The Extraordinary Murder didn't do well at the box office, it was of a very high standard. The reviews were better than Paranormal Activity and The Blair Witch Project. And your progress in this film was obvious to everyone. I'm looking forward to your next film, Link. Thank you. Steven raised his glass and clinked glasses with him, moved. Quentin scoffed. Link, you've been all over the news lately. From entertainment to legal and financial news, you're everywhere. You're a director, what's the point of not focusing on making movies and instead jumping into other fields? Financial news is understandable, but when has legal news ever reported on me, Robert Downey Jr. threatening you with a gun, then running over Richard Gere with his car? Which of those news stories didn't include you? That happened months ago, let's not bring it up again, it's pointless. Link waved his hand. Quentin, however, wasn't going to let him off the hook. I just don't understand. 2 years ago, we were living in cheap apartments, couldn't afford food or rent, didn't even have girls. Now you're worth over $1 billion. What happened in between? Why is everyone else making movies, and you're the only one who suddenly becomes a billionaire? Link laughed. You could try investing in stocks. Stocks are too risky. I don't want to lose all my hard-earned money in the stock market. Link, I advise you not to invest in stocks. Be careful of a financial crisis, your stocks could become worthless, Quentin advised. Link laughed, I'm a shareholder in several companies now. As long as those companies don't go bankrupt, the financial crisis won't affect me much, Director Richard Linklater said. Quentin, didn't you see the news? Link is a Microsoft shareholder. The Wall Street Journal said Microsoft's market value might break $100 billion in the future. Link's Microsoft shares will only become more valuable. Quentin curled his lip. What's the point of having so much money? A few $100,000 is enough to eat, drink, and pick up girls. Extra money is useless. No matter how much money Link has, he only has 2 kidneys, and Dick only has 1. He might not be able to pick up more girls than us. Link sighed. Quentin, can you stop being so resentful of the rich? I wasn't jealous of you when you won the Golden Bear a while ago, but why are you nagging so much about me being on the Forbes rich list? If you're not happy, why don't you get on it too? Quentin shut his mouth and didn't say anything. Director Richard Linklater also had something to discuss with Link, his new movie, Before Sunrise. This script is based on Richard's true story. It tells the tale of how he meets a female college student on a train while traveling. They talk about literature, music, and life ideals, gradually becoming soulmates. It's a refreshing art film and the first installment of Richard's Before trilogy. Casting for this film is complete, but the male lead is Ethan Hawke, an artist under CAA agency. He previously auditioned for Final Destination but withdrew. Richard Linklater, hearing of Link's conflict with CAA, worries that Link won't be satisfied with Ethan Hawke, so he talks to him to explain. Link says he doesn't care, he has a conflict with CAA, but he won't refuse to work with CAA actors. CAA now manages nearly half of Hollywood's stars, and not working with them wouldn't be wise. After the party, Quentin insists on paying the bill, leading Link to believe that Quentin has changed and is no longer robbing this nouveau riche. After Steven and Richard left, Quentin secretly approached him, saying he also wanted to try his hand at stocks and asked if he could put his money with Flash Capital and find a good manager to help him invest. Link said stock trading is risky and investment requires caution. Quentin said he didn't care. Link asked him how much capital he had. Quentin said he didn't have any money right now, but he would when Pulp Fiction was released, as the movie had received good reviews. Link immediately told him to get out of his luxury car and come back to him when he had the money. Chapter 208 Nighttime Visit. By the time Link returned to the Golden Oak Apartments, it was already dark, and the moon and stars were few. He ran more than 10 laps on the park track, working up a sweat before heading home. Monica was away filming a new movie, and Link had been home alone these past few days. Sometimes he'd stay overnight at Jennifer Connelly's, sometimes Renee Zellweger would come over for a massage, and occasionally he'd treat himself to a meal at Liu Xiaoli's or Michelle Pfeiffer's. He rarely had a moment to himself. But tonight, he planned to sleep alone. He showered, changed into soft pajamas, made some seafood fried noodles, and ate while reading at the dining table. The past few weeks had been too busy with work to read much, but now that he had some free time, he'd make time to read some film directing reference books to keep himself updated. Although he'd been directing for decades, was experienced, and had a knack for it, without continuous learning, it would be difficult to make further progress in his directing career. Knock, 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 knock. Just as he was reading, there was a knock at the door. Link took a sip of red wine, got up, and went to check the door. He looked through the peephole but saw no one. Most people who knocked at night had ill intentions. Just to be safe, he picked up a baseball bat, opened the door, and looked around. The hallway was empty, but the air was filled with a familiar scent, lavender mixed with a faint fruity aroma. He glanced to the left of the hallway, closed the door, and continued eating and reading. After finishing his meal, he took a dessert from the refrigerator and went to Jodie Foster's apartment, knocking on the door. Jodie Foster quickly opened the door, wearing a t-shirt, casual pants, and slippers, her hair loose over her shoulders. She looked at him with a flickering gaze. "What do you want?" "Dessert from Stone Table Restaurant." "Want to try some? Eating dessert at night can make you fat?" Jodie Foster stepped aside to let him pass. "I'm not an actor. Being a little chubby is fine." Link smiled and went into the apartment. Jodie Foster watched his tall, straight back. This guy exercised regularly, so he certainly didn't need to worry about gaining weight, but she, as an actress, did. This guy bringing dessert tonight, he definitely had ulterior motives. "Your living room is a mess." Link surveyed Jodie Foster's apartment. The layout was similar to his own, 3 bedrooms connected to 3 living rooms of varying sizes, with a kitchen, study, and storage rooms scattered in different corners. White walls and marble floors, a large wool rug in the center of the living room, and a dazzling crystal chandelier. Several magazines sat on the sofa, and a record player on the counter played Edith Piaf's La Vie en Rose, the lyrics indistinct. The interior decoration was elegant, with luxury brand furniture. However, clothes and food wrappers were scattered haphazardly on the sofa and rug, wine glasses and cutlery were strewn about on the counter, and the few withered lilies in the vase hadn't been replaced. The air was thick with the smell of snacks. Link had assumed that with 2 women living together, the house would be cleaner and tidier, but it turned out that even he, a single man, was better at tidying up. Jodie Foster glanced at him awkwardly, casually rolled up the clothes and skirts on the sofa and tossed them aside. "Do you want to sit down? You can leave if you don't." Link sat down on the sofa, put down the plate, and picked up a magazine from the table to read, but Jodie Foster snatched it away and threw it into the basket behind the sofa. "Isn't Sydney home? Why are you asking her?" "Just asking. I'm home alone too." "I didn't ask you." Jodie Foster quickly finished tidying up, took a bottle of red wine from the counter, and picked up 2 wine glasses. "Did you wash the glasses?" Jodie Foster glanced at him, took the glasses to the kitchen to wash, and came out a while later with 2 wet glasses, looking impatient. Link smiled, took out 2 tissues to wipe them carefully, opened the red wine and poured 2 glasses. It was a 1986 Chateau Latour, also a Bordeaux red wine, with a rich aroma. "Cheers, HMPH." Jodie Foster took the glass and sipped. "What are you doing at home?" Link asked. "Reading. I've been reading here the whole time, from 5 o'clock this afternoon until you knocked on the door. I haven't moved an inch." Jodie Foster pointed to the sofa. An explanation was just a cover-up. Link chuckled and asked, "What are you reading?" "Satan Tango, a Hungarian novel. That novel is too realistic. The story is rather depressing, not suitable for reading alone at home." "You've seen it too?" Jodie Foster asked in surprise. Link shrugged and took out a videotape. "I recently found a great movie. Want to watch it together?" Jodie Foster looked at the videotape, then at him, and sneered, "What are you trying to do? You should know I'm not interested in men. Your womanizing tricks won't work on me." Link placed a videotape on the table. Whether or not to watch it was up to Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster looked at him, snorted, picked up the videotape, and inserted it into the player. The movie started playing, with Japanese subtitles and songs. "Japanese erotic films," Jodie Foster said, pursing her lips. "I've seen just as many as you. You're quite something." Link smiled, eating dessert and sipping red wine. Jodie Foster glared at him, picked up a piece of dessert, tasted it, and found it delicious, then ate several more. The movie began. A Japanese man carrying a briefcase got off a train and encountered a small, adorable Akita puppy at the snowy station. Seeing the puppy was homeless and worried it would suffer in an animal shelter, the man took it home, naming it Hachiko. Hachiko grew up under the man's care, waiting for him to return home from work every day at the train station. 2 years later, the man died of a heart attack, but the puppy continued to wait for its owner at the train station every day for 9 years until Hachiko passed away. This film, based on the story of Japanese professor Hidesaburo Ueno, was released in 1987 and later remade in several countries, all achieving good box office results. Because the puppy in the movie was so cute and the story so touching, Jodie Foster watched it while wiping away tears, sobbing uncontrollably. Link handed her a tissue. "How was this Japanese erotic film?" Jodie Foster glared at him, her eyes still red. "Why are you so annoying? I'm planning to buy the rights to remake it." "How about we collaborate?" Link chuckled. "Me, playing the professor's wife? Is that suitable?" "No, you're too young. You could try directing." Jodie Foster was also a director, having made 2 films and 1 TV series. Her upcoming films, Money Monster and Tales from the Loop, as well as TV series like House of Cards and Orange is the New Black, were all of good quality. Directing, Jodie Foster wiped her eyes, thought seriously for a moment. "I need to consider it. No rush, there's time." Link checked his watch. It was past 10. He got up to leave. "Wait, is there something else?" Link stopped and asked. "I'm sorry, what? I shouldn't have misunderstood you as a man with ulterior motives. If that's it, then you don't need to apologize. I did have ill intentions towards you." Link reached out and wiped her face. There was a tear there. Jodie Foster's expression immediately changed, and she raised her fist as if to hit him. Link grabbed her arm, took a step forward, and pressed her against the wall. He lowered his head and smelled her hair and neck. It was the lingering scent from the hallway, only warmer now. "You can come to me when you're lonely. When men and women are alone, they can do more than just sleep together, they can also chat. Don't worry, I will never take off your clothes unless you want to." Link chuckled softly, released the stunned woman, and left. After he left, Jodie Foster was stunned for a few seconds before reacting. Clutching her pounding chest, she angrily kicked the spot where Link had been standing. Link returned to his apartment and received 2 messages on his phone. The first was from Brooke Shields at 8:30, asking if he wanted a drink. Half an hour later, she sent another message saying goodnight. Chapter 209 Daily Work Routine. After he made it onto the Forbes list, more and more women started contacting him, Brooke Shields being one of them. Because they lived nearby, and Brooke Shields was quite beautiful and sexy, Link had played ball with her a few times and they were practically acquaintances. However, Link decided to sleep alone and didn't reply to her messages. The next morning, during his run, Brooke Shields caught up with him from behind. She was wearing a light green sports tank top and brown yoga pants, her full bust and long, shapely legs making her look very sexy. Her long, brown, curly hair was tied in a ponytail, swaying left and right with her movements, giving her a youthful and beautiful look. Whenever she appeared in public, the wolfish gazes of the men around her would involuntarily fall on her chest, hips, and long legs. Only Link would look at her face and blue eyes. "Good morning, Brooke." "Link, were you home alone last night?" "Yes, I was watching a movie. I saw your message after 10 p.m., so I didn't reply." "It's okay, I guessed you were busy." Brooke smiled slightly and kept pace with him, almost running side by side. The other men all looked at Link with envy. "This guy is just rich, handsome, and young. What's so great about him? Are you free today? Let's play tennis this afternoon," Brooke asked. "I won't get off work until about 4 p.m. We start at 5:30 p.m., so we can play for more than 2 hours." "Okay, I'll be there at 5 p.m. Link and Brooke continued running ahead. Midway, they encountered Jim Carrey and his wife walking on the grass. Jim Carrey saw Brooke beside him and winked at him, as if he had discovered some kind of affair. While having breakfast outside, Link ran into Jim Carrey again. Carrey sat down opposite him with his tray, craning his neck and looking around in a strange manner. "Where's Brooke Shields? She went home." "Link, I admire you so much. Not only are you good at making movies and making money, but your womanizing skills are several levels above ours. If there's a next life, I hope to be your middle finger." Jim Carrey laughed, holding up 2 middle fingers. Link really wanted to punch him, but considering that he couldn't act without that face, he let it slide. "How is the assembling of the mask crew going?" "Very smoothly. We plan to start filming next month and probably wrap up before July." Jim Carrey ate a waffle with yogurt, his taste quite strong. "Who's the female lead?" He'd been busy with other things lately. After finalizing a few film projects, the remaining work was handled by several producers in the production department. The producer in charge of the mask was James Shammas, and Jim Carrey was also one of the producers, so he was quite familiar with the crew's affairs. "Cameron Diaz, she was the best at the audition." "Wait, Link, didn't you know? She's your girlfriend." "How could you not know? Who told you she's my girlfriend?" "It's in the gossip. You spotted Miss Diaz during the casting for Final Destination, and you started dating around that time." Entertainment Weekly said she's one of your 57 girlfriends. "That's fake. It's a competitor slandering me." "I also think it's unlikely. Even if you have the money and time, dating 57 girlfriends at the same time would be too much for even the best body." "But maybe 27, Monica, Brooke Shields, Jennifer, stop. Eat your food and don't talk." Link finished his breakfast in a few bites and drove to work. There wasn't much work today. Link signed a few documents and talked to Michael Listen about hiring new employees. After the company received funding, Link planned to expand the production and distribution departments, increasing the company's annual output and distribution capabilities, producing more films each year, and improving the company's overseas distribution capabilities. At the same time, an international film division was established to invest in foreign film projects and acquire promising foreign films for North American release. Now, Guess What Films has grown into a leader in the independent film industry, even surpassing MGM among the Big 7 studios. Under these circumstances, Guess What Films can only continue to move forward to maintain its current position. Retreating would mean being vulnerable and at the mercy of others. In his vision, after Guess What Films has grown stronger, it will acquire the Big 7 studios, invest in media groups, and control publicity and distribution channels. Only then will it truly have a foothold in America. Link, the director's script is finished. Take a look. Sophia entered the office disheveled, carrying the director's script for The Man from Earth, the culmination of her recent work. This script, the plan the director devised before filming, would ensure a smoother shooting process. Link took it and read it through, highlighting a few problematic sections to discuss with Sophia. The Man from Earth has a relatively simple structure. 7 or 8 people of different backgrounds are gathered in a small space, debating based on their own perspectives. Filming the movie wasn't particularly difficult. The challenge lay in the actors' delivery of lines and their teamwork. If Sophia could handle these two aspects, making a good film wouldn't be difficult. The script is mostly fine. You go ahead and cast the actors, prepare for filming, and come back to me if you encounter any problems. Okay? Sophia didn't waste any time, quickly putting away the script and leaving without a trace of flirtation. Sure enough, women become less endearing when they become strong. Not long after Sophia left, Ben Affleck visited him again, trying to persuade him to direct Good Will Hunting. Link declined. Good Will Hunting tells the story of a janitor at MIT with extraordinary mathematical talent, also a troubled youth, who, under the guidance of a professor, gradually opens his heart, overcomes his barriers with others, and rediscovers himself, love, and friendship. The film contains an inspirational story, humanistic concern, love and friendship, and explores human nature and self-discovery. The story is relatively positive and aligns with American mainstream values. This type of film is likely to attract the attention of the Academy Awards. This is also why the film won Best Original Screenplay after its release. Link initially considered directing the film himself, but he's currently focusing on thrillers and suspense films, and Good Will Hunting doesn't suit his style. He also didn't plan to switch careers prematurely. Furthermore, he didn't write the script, so his involvement was minimal, and the box office subsidies wouldn't be substantial. After considering it, he called and invited the original director, Gus Van Sant, to direct. Gus Van Sant is a renowned art house film director, best known for My Own Private Idaho, starring Keanu Reeves and Joaquin Phoenix, released in 1991. Is your collaboration with director Sant not going well? Very badly. Ben Affleck curled his lip. He wants us to revise the script. Do you know how? He wants the male lead to fall in love with a supporting male lead, and for the supporting male lead to die in a construction accident. That's too depressing. Even when the story opens up at the end, it doesn't have that healing feeling. You understand? Link nodded. Director Sant prefers and excels at making films with LGBTQ+ themes. Several of his existing films are of this type. When watching Good Will Hunting, seeing the good relationship between the male lead and the supporting male lead inevitably triggered his old urges, leading him to add a romantic subplot between them. This change is definitely not acceptable. The original film's theme is very healing and positive, suitable for everyone. Changing it to LGBTQ+ theme is abandoning the main road for a narrow path, which will greatly affect the film's box office. Even if Matt Damon and Ben didn't say anything, he wouldn't allow such changes. I support your decision. The script cannot be changed. You can talk to director Sant and share your thoughts. I think he'll agree. If not, come back to me. Okay, you said it. By the way, I heard you've started casting for your new movie. Would you consider me? Let me continue as the male lead. We had a great time working together on Seven, didn't we? Ben Affleck grinned. Link didn't even glance at him. No, it's not suitable. The male lead for the new movie is around 20 years old, while you're a bit older, and your demeanor doesn't fit the character. I'm only 23. How am I old? Ben Affleck pouted and left disappointed. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210. Lewinsky. After handling some work in his office, Link gave his assistant a few instructions and went to the screenwriting studio to look at the script. Good afternoon, Mr. President, a female employee in the screenwriting department greeted him warmly. Hello. Are you new here? Link asked, noticing the unfamiliar face. Yes, Mr. President, I'm Monica Lewinsky, a student at Clark College. I'm interning at Guessing Pictures. I originally applied for an administrative position, but the administration department wasn't short-staffed, so they assigned me here, the woman said enthusiastically. Link nodded and replied, Hello, Ms. Lewinsky, but after taking a few steps, he suddenly realized something was off. Lewinsky? He turned back to look at the woman's round face, long, curly black hair, and voluptuous figure. She looked vaguely familiar. Mr. President, Lewinsky blinked, a little nervous. It's all right. You have a good image. You could consider becoming an actress, Link said. He was somewhat surprised. Why wasn't Lewinsky an intern at the White House? What was she doing at Guessing Pictures? Was working at Guessing Pictures comparable to working at the White House? Link didn't ask any further questions and went to the script library to look at the scripts. Guessing Pictures also has a script library, responsible for receiving scripts submitted from outside and acquiring copyrights. After receiving a script, the studio secretary registers the submitter's information and then categorizes the scripts according to genre, including romance, action, thriller, comedy, crime, and ethics. Because Guessing Pictures thriller films have performed well, the library has the most thriller scripts, filling 4 large cabinets, which is more than all other genres combined. The reason he came here to look at scripts was because the scripts recommended by the script writing department recently were not very good, and there were no familiar ones. He could only come in person to avoid missing any gems, just like Robert Shea, who sighed every time he met Link because he missed Barrett, as if he had a knot in his heart. While he was looking at the scripts, Lewinsky helped him move the scripts and pour coffee. Sometimes she would sit opposite him with a script, playing with her hair and staring at him. Although Link didn't look at her, he was occasionally disturbed by the fragrance on her. To avoid becoming another Clinton, Link assigned her a task: after reading a script, summarize the plot in 2 or 3 sentences and write it down on a registration form. This way, when he needed to find a script, he could simply refer to the registration form, significantly increasing his speed. Mr. President, after I finish this, can I be transferred to an administrative position? My major in university was public administration, which I'm good at. Lewinsky, of Russian descent, had long eyelashes and her large, bright eyes blinked as she spoke, almost like they were radiating electricity. Link sighed. I'm the president, so just say yes to the work I assign you. How can you haggle? Yes, great. President, I promise to complete the task. Lewinsky began to concentrate on reading the script and making the registration. Link instructed her on how to summarize, emphasizing the importance of remembering key information and core ideas. After assigning Lewinsky her work, Link continued reading scripts. He read over 50 scripts that afternoon but didn't find anything particularly good. However, he did find a promising idea among them. One script was called X-Ray, about a male protagonist with magical eyes that could see through people's thoughts. Using the superpower, the protagonist arrives on Wall Street with $200, eavesdrops on the thoughts of powerful figures, obtains insider information, earns millions of dollars, and becomes a millionaire. He also uses this method to woo many beautiful women, achieving success in both love and career. The story also includes some erotic and action scenes. It's an overly fantastical work, lacking logic and with a rather chaotic main plot. Its only merit is its good concept. From this idea, Link thought of several movies, most notably Mel Gibson's What Women Want, and Andy Lau and Gong Li's What Women Want. Both films tell the story of urban white-collar workers who, after gaining the ability to hear the thoughts of the opposite sex, use this power to help others and win the heart of their female boss. Both films performed well at the box office. Link decided to write the script ahead of time, intending to film it himself if he had the time, and otherwise outsource it. Around 4 p.m., his assistant Annie came to remind him it was time to leave work. Link said goodbye to Lewinsky and returned to his Golden Oak apartment with a few scripts, intending to read them that evening. However, after playing tennis, Brooke Shields invited him to her home, offering to cook him Chinese food herself. She had been acting less in recent years, and in her spare time, besides studying at Princeton University, she had taken up cooking, learning to prepare various international cuisines, including Chinese, Italian, Turkish, French, and Japanese. Link didn't refuse her invitation and brought a handheld camera to her home to film her cooking. Brooke Shields had a knack for cooking, and her Chinese dishes were quite impressive. While cooking, she wore a casual t-shirt, blue jeans, and an apron, revealing a slender waist, long, shapely legs, and a full, curvaceous bottom. She looked even more alluring than in her bikini scene in Pretty Girl. Brooklyn, your cooking is quite good. You could collaborate with a TV station to produce a cooking variety show, Link said. A cooking show? Would anyone watch that? Brooke Shields asked, tilting her head. Of course. Delicious food, beautiful women, beautiful scenery, plus competition and prize money, the ratings wouldn't be bad. Link remembered a cooking show called Master Chef, which ran for over 10 seasons, indicating a market for this type of program in the US. It's just that his magic touch couldn't boost ratings, otherwise he could have produced a TV variety show. This idea is fantastic. I've decided to write it up and submit it to a TV station. Do you have any other suggestions? Many. Link then explained the selection process, competition rules, and profit model. Brooke Shields listened more and more intently, finally excitedly kissing him a few times on the cheek, not seductively, but spontaneously. Link told her to continue cooking. Only after the food was finished did he put down the camera, put his arm around her waist, and lean against a counter. It wasn't their first time playing ball, they were familiar with the game and didn't need much prompting or hints. However, this time Brooke Shields was more engaged, like vegetables simmering in a pan, bobbing up and down. If someone with a small build like Edward Norton or John Lone were to encounter someone like her, over 180 centimeters tall, with a voluptuous figure and long legs, they'd probably be intimidated and back away. Link doesn't need to worry, his physical abilities have been improved multiple times, and his physique is comparable to top athletes. He can lift a 100-kilogram barbell over 200 times consecutively. His daily exercise rarely tires him, the only downside is that he has to read fewer scripts at night. Chapter 211 Pulp Fiction. Around 9 p.m., Link was in bed talking to Brooke Shields about a cooking show when her mother, Terry Shields, suddenly came home. Link had to abandon his plan to stay the night, put on his pants, went home, said goodbye to Terry Shields, and left. He had barely returned home when there was a knock at the door. It was his neighbor, Oscar-winning actress Jodie Foster. "Where have you been? Coming back so late?" Jodie Foster, wearing a cotton t-shirt and munching on a green apple, looked him up and down. "Eating out, HMPH, don't lie. I saw you and Brooke Shields go to the building next door. Brooke invited you over, it's obvious she wants to sleep with you. Why didn't you stay overnight?" Jodie Foster walked in, hands in her pockets. "Brooklyn invited me over for dinner. She's a good cook. I filmed her cooking, do you want to see it?" Link pointed to the handheld video camera on the table. Jodie Foster glanced at him, turned on the VCR, and watched for a few minutes. It was indeed a video of Brooke Shields cooking, but Link's filming skills were excellent. Brooke Shields looked beautiful in the video, and her cooking skills seemed quite good, making Jodie Foster, who couldn't cook, secretly scoff. Link handed her a glass of juice and took the VCR away. The first half of the video showed her cooking, and the second half showed her doing other things, from the kitchen to the living room. Brooke Shields' dishes looked and smelled even better than her own cooking. Just those long legs of hers, he could eat for a year. If he let Jodie Foster continue watching, he might give himself away. "As far as I know, you're a lecherous man. Brooke Shields offered herself to you, why didn't you sleep with her?" "Oh, I see. Is your private life too chaotic, and your body not up to par? I've heard that the biggest problem for men is that their limited physical strength can't support their ever-growing desires. Are you like that too?" Jodie Foster blinked, with an expression that said, "I saw right through you, I'm perfectly fine. What's up, haha, don't worry, just keep practicing, and you'll get better." "Keep it up," Jodie Foster chuckled mischievously. Link leaned back on the sofa, quietly observing her neck, chest, and legs. Her figure was rather average, leaning towards the bony, but her face was pretty, and her demeanor was excellent. Link was considering whether to treat her to something special. Jodie Foster sensed a hint of danger in his eyes, suppressed her teasing smile, and told him about her plans to film Hachiko Monogatari, asking if he had acquired the rights. Link said the rights were being negotiated, and no other company had yet noticed the story, so securing the rights wouldn't be too difficult. He asked her to write an American version of Hachiko Monogatari when she had time. Jodie Foster nodded in agreement, but her script writing skills were only average, and she was worried about rewriting it poorly, so she asked him for guidance. Link agreed, laughing, "You come to me for help, and you dare to be sarcastic. I'm just stating the facts, aren't I?" Jodie Foster saw a pile of scripts on the table, picked one up, and flipped through it. "What are these? Scripts the company received, can I take a look?" "Go ahead." Link also picked up a script and started reading. The two leaned back on the sofa, each holding a script. 2 cups of coffee sat on the table, emitting wisps of aroma. Dozens of scripts were stacked in between. They read one after another, neither saying a word. Around 11 o'clock, Jodie Foster yawned, put down her script, and got up to leave. Link prepared to see her off. Jodie Foster suddenly smiled mischievously. "No need to get up. You're not feeling well, rest a bit." "I'm perfectly fine, I told you, HMPH, you men are all talk and no action." Before she could finish, Link pinned her against the wall again. No matter how much she struggled and kicked, she couldn't move. Link lowered his head and kissed her earlobe and lips, and Jodie Foster's cheeks instantly turned red. "Baby, how strong am I?" Link whispered in her ear with a chuckle. Jodie Foster pursed her lips, glaring at him fiercely. "Physical strength is a man's basic dignity. Don't try to provoke me with it next time. If I wanted to assault you, 10 of you wouldn't be able to stop me." Link smiled and then released her. Jodie Foster hurriedly ran out, glaring at him angrily at the door before stomping away. The next day was the 66th Academy Awards ceremony. Link received an invitation to attend, but since he wasn't nominated, he declined the invitation and watched the broadcast at home after get off work. The Academy Awards, also known as the Academy Awards, are established by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences in 1929. They are the oldest, most authoritative, and professional film awards in the United States, and also the most influential film awards in the world. Due to their high level, prestige, and influence, winning an Oscar is extremely difficult. The Oscar statuette has become the most coveted award for filmmakers worldwide. Link was also envious, but the media labeled him a bad movie director, making it difficult to gain the approval of the Oscar judges in a short time. This year, films from the Guess the Movies studio only received 2 nominations, The Wedding Banquet for Best Foreign Language Film and Final Destination for Best Visual Effects. After a 3-hour awards ceremony, Four Daughters, Spanish film, won Best Foreign Language Film, and Jurassic Park won Best Visual Effects. Other awards were similar to the Golden Globes, with Schindler's List becoming the biggest winner, winning 7 out of 12 nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Cinematography. Tom Hanks won Best Actor for Philadelphia, and Holly Hunter won Best Actress for The Piano, among others. However, Link didn't come away empty-handed. During the Best Actor acceptance speech, Tom Hanks thanked his high school gay teacher, Raleigh Farnsworth, claiming that his performance in Philadelphia was inspired and helped by him. Link was reminded of a comedy called Run Back the Groom. It's about a high school teacher who, on the eve of his wedding, is exposed as gay by his student at the Oscars, leading to a series of hilarious events. It did well at the box office and even received an Oscar nomination. What are you laughing at? Is there something wrong with what Hanks said? Jodie Foster hadn't gone to the Oscars either. She'd come to his place after get off work that afternoon to look at the script and watch the ceremony together. No, I've come up with a great idea that could be made into a movie. What idea? A story about a teacher who's suddenly exposed as gay. Link immediately got to work, picking up a pen and notebook and writing on the table. He spent 20 minutes writing the outline and over 3 hours producing the first draft. While he was writing, Jodie Foster didn't leave, sitting opposite him reading the script. When her cup was empty, she poured him some coffee. As soon as he put down his pen, Jodie pounced on him, picked up the script, and flipped through it, her face full of surprise. Are you even human? What do you mean? You wrote a script just from listening to Tom Hanks' acceptance speech? Do you think I'm amazing? Link rubbed his wrist and laughed. No. Not at all. Jodie Foster glared at him, not happy at all. She had also worked as a screenwriter, but often spent a long time writing without producing a satisfactory script. Link, on the other hand, was a womanizer, greedy, and rude, not at all like a talented person. Yet, upon hearing Tom Hanks' acceptance speech, he instantly had an inspiration and wrote a highly polished script in the blink of an eye. This made her feel very unfair. Are you going to direct this movie? It's a comedy, and I don't have any plans to make comedies right now, Link said. Jodie Foster nodded, then suddenly said seriously, I admit you're a very capable guy, more capable than any man I know. If you were more serious about relationships and less fickle, you would definitely be a perfect man, thank you. It's past 10 o'clock. Do you want to sleep here tonight? Link asked. Jodie Foster glared at him angrily. She'd just thought he was a perfect man, and one sentence had turned that into utter awfulness. Never mind. I said I'm not interested in men, not even you. Jodie Foster got up, put on her slippers, and pointed to a script on the table. I think the story in this script is pretty good, you can take a look. After seeing Jodie Foster off, Link returned to the sofa to continue reading the script, also glancing at the one Jodie had recommended. He was quite surprised after finishing it, it was a very familiar story. Chapter 212 Private Ryan. The play is titled The Legend of Fritz Nilan. It tells the story of Fritz Nilan, a soldier in Easy Company, the 101st Airborne Division, during World War II. After Easy Company captured Carentan Bay, he learned that his brother Bob, serving in the 82nd Airborne Division, had been killed in action. Simultaneously, another brother, serving in the 4th Infantry Division, was killed on the beaches of Utah. Shortly after, his third brother, a pilot, was shot down by the Japanese while on a mission on the China-Burma-India border and went missing. On the same day, Mrs. Nilan received telegrams informing her of the deaths of her 3 sons. Fritz was the only surviving son in the family. Upon receiving the news, the Army Commander-in-Chief ordered a task force to the front lines to bring Fritz home. This story is based on a true story from World War II and bears a striking resemblance to Saving Private Ryan, but there are also more than 60% differences. The protagonist of the play is Fritz, who, upon receiving news of his three brothers' deaths at the front, is overwhelmed with grief and vows to fight the enemy to the end. The Army Commander-in-Chief, unwilling to see him sacrifice himself, arranges for someone to go to the front lines to find him and bring him home. After the task force found Fritz, he refused to leave, leading his team to hold the front lines and achieve a great victory. The script's theme was sacrifice and dedication. The theme was rather cliched and lacked depth, resembling a superhero movie. Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan focused on a group of people, telling the story of Captain Miller leading a small team deep behind enemy lines to find Private Ryan, who had lost three brothers within a week during the Normandy landings. This version primarily explored the brilliance and fragility of humanity, and the impact of war on individuals and families. It was an anti-war film. In comparison, the latter version had a deeper theme and a significantly higher artistic level. Link read the script twice, pondered for a while, and decided to acquire it. The original Saving Private Ryan was produced by DreamWorks Pictures, which hadn't yet been established, and Spielberg probably hadn't received the script. Link bought the rights in advance, wrote the script, and planned to make this film after finishing several other scripts. Furthermore, Saving Private Ryan was a foundational work for DreamWorks. Without its success, DreamWorks development would have been much slower, and the film industry would have had one less competitor, a significant advantage. The next day at the company, Link first handed the script for Run Back the Groom to the production department for review, and simultaneously instructed the copyright department to acquire the adaptation rights to Saving Private Ryan, making it a key project for the company. In fact, after seeing Saving Private Ryan, Link had also considered filming Titanic around the same time. However, after hearing James Cameron say that the film had been in development since 1992, with plans to begin production after the release of True Lies, it was too late to snatch the deal. Link, we've acquired the film adaptation rights to Hachiko. When do you plan to start this project? Daniel DeVito asked. How much cash is left in the company's account? Last year, the company earned $620 million, distributed $500 million in dividends, leaving $120 million in cash and $100 million in loans, totaling $220 million for film production and distribution. Currently, the company has invested in 7 small to medium-sized films with low production costs. The Mask has a budget of $20 million. Before Sunrise has $1.5 million. Sense and Sensibility has $16 million. The Butterfly Effect, a co-production with Miramax, has $12 million. Good Will Hunting has $10 million. Rumble in the Bronx, a collaboration with The Golden Harvest, has $10.5 million. The Man from Earth has $20,000. The total cost is approximately $70 million, leaving about $50 million in reserve funds, enough to invest in 1 or 2 more films. However, the company produced too many projects in the first half of the year, and the production department is operating at full capacity, leaving no extra manpower for other projects. New film projects will have to wait until the second half of the year, after other films have finished filming. Hachiko isn't in a rush. Filming can be done next year. How is the casting for The Butterfly Effect? Link asked. Not bad. The 4 main characters have been cast, and we're currently selecting actors to play the 7-year-old and 13-year-old versions of them based on their appearances. That should take about another week. No rush, take your time. The film is scheduled to start shooting after April, so there's still over a month to prepare. Friday was the premiere of Pulp Fiction at the Hollywood and Highland Cinema. Link, Steven Soderbergh, and Robert Rodriguez came to support Quentin. Quentin was very nervous before the film's release. He didn't say anything funny when he saw them, sitting in his chair with a furrowed brow, like he was waiting for a nurse to give him a shot. Is it necessary to be so nervous? It's not like it's your first time having a movie released. Link laughed. I'm not nervous, it's just that the theater is too stuffy. I'm not feeling well. Quentin took a deep breath. What are you going to do if the movie is a big hit? Link asked, trying to help him relax. I'm going to throw a 3-day party and invite 100 beautiful women to my house to do striptease. 100 beautiful women? Remember to invite me, Robert Rodriguez next door said, drooling. 100 is too many. You'll need to buy a big villa first, Of course, if Pulp Fiction grosses over $400 million worldwide, I'll buy the biggest villa in Hollywood Hills. Over $500 million, I'll buy the penthouse of the tallest apartment in Manhattan. Over $600 million. Wait? Are you crazy? Rodriguez interrupted him. Don't you even look at what kind of movie this is? A dark, violent film, an indie film. You think you can make $400 or $500 million from this kind of movie? Why not? Paranormal Activity and The Blair Witch Project are also indie films. One grossed over $600 million worldwide, the other over $300 million. Is Pulp Fiction worse than them? Absolutely not. Since those two movies can make so much money, why can't Pulp Fiction? Quentin said seriously. Link, what do you say? Rodriguez asked. Link laughed. Pulp Fiction is very well made and has the potential to be a big hit. With a bit of luck, it might even gross $400 or $500 million. Quentin nodded in agreement. Clap, clap, clap. The movie ended, and the audience erupted in enthusiastic applause and cheers. Many people were praising the film, and it was indeed excellent, including its structure, plot design, camera work, and the actors' performances, all at a very high level. The film borrowed many scenes from older movies, and after Pulp Fiction's huge success, many more of its scenes were referenced. Quentin also became a global sensation with the film, becoming a renowned director and a representative figure in the independent film field. However, this film faces some challenges in achieving blockbuster success. Firstly, Quentin lacks a systematic approach. Secondly, the film consists of 3 stories using a non-linear narrative without a unified protagonist, making it somewhat obscure and difficult for the average viewer to understand. It feels like they haven't really seen it at all. Unlike Paranormal Activity and The Blair Witch Project, which are easy to understand, even an illiterate viewer would know the film is about ghost stories. Clap, 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 clap. The audience continued to applaud. Link, have you ever heard applause last this long? Quentin shouted triumphantly. No, haha, I bet Pulp Fiction won't do worse at the box office than your movies. I hope you're right. If this movie can gross over $600 million, guess what? The studio will get over $100 million. He was even more excited for the movie's success than Quentin. Amidst the applause, Quentin led the main cast to the front of the stage to receive the cheers. Quentin went on stage to give a speech, talking about the film's production and hoping for everyone's support. Link, congratulations on playing another great role. Tim Robbins clapped his hands and walked over. You mean that psychopathic cop? Yes, I didn't expect you to be in this movie. You did a great job. If you weren't a director, you'd be a good actor too, thanks. That role was Quentin's prank. How's your new movie going? When will it finish filming? Tim Robbins' new movie is The Shawshank Redemption, scheduled to start filming at the beginning of the year. Morgan Freeman told him that after finishing Seven, he went straight to filming The Shawshank Redemption, with no time to rest in between. It's terrible. The director and production team have serious disagreements about the plot, causing the production to stall. The exact start date depends on the production team's arrangements. I hope you finish filming soon. After chatting for a while, Link and Tim Robbins went to the front to congratulate the Pulp Fiction creators, while Quentin gradually lost himself in the cheers. Pulp Fiction grossed $9.33 million in its opening week in 1334 theaters, becoming the weekly box office champion. Chapter 213 Cast. The film had a production cost of $8 million and broke even in its opening week, a very good result. However, Quentin Tarantino was visibly disappointed. Given the film's strong opening, he had predicted that Pulp Fiction would gross over $30 million in its opening week and over $100 million in North America within 3 weeks. Why did it only gross $9.33 million? The difference was too great. However, the film received excellent reviews, almost entirely positive from the media, achieving a Metacritic score of 92. Many critics lavished praise on Tarantino, calling him one of the best directors of the younger generation and predicting his future achievements in film. Famous critic Sean Thorpe used Tarantino to criticize Link, saying that all of Link's films combined couldn't compare to Pulp Fiction, and that the film industry needed more Pulp Fiction films than Paranormal Activity or The Blair Witch Project. Seeing so many people praising Pulp Fiction and criticizing Link's films, Tarantino's mood gradually improved. He even started complaining to Link that audiences were trash, didn't like good movies, and only watched bad ones. Link didn't argue with him. He was currently busy preparing for his new film, The Butterfly Effect. Casting was complete, and the main cast included Leonardo DiCaprio, Renee Zellweger, Mark Wahlberg, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Julianne Moore. The Butterfly Effect tells the story of Evan, who, after starting college, accidentally discovers his old diary and recalls a series of terrible events from his youth that shattered his otherwise perfect life. To make his life perfect and without regrets, he uses the diary to travel back in time to several major events he experienced, attempting to change everything. However, each time he goes back to change something, he returns to reality to find that it has unexpected consequences, further damaging his current life and harming loved ones. After several such trips, no matter what he does, he cannot make things perfect. Evan's mental world begins to crumble, and he ultimately decides to travel into the embryo and strangle himself with the umbilical cord. After casting, Link gathered the lead actors to study the script and understand their characters. After a few lessons, Link assigned homework to the 4 main actors. Each had to write a character biography, clarifying the story's plot and their respective characters' background. Understanding these elements was crucial for comprehension and better performance during filming. While Link was preparing for the Butterfly Effect, Tim Robbins visited the company, accompanied by Frank Darabont, director and screenwriter of The Shawshank Redemption, and producer Liz Grozer. Their purpose was to inquire about Link's interest in taking over the Shawshank Redemption project. The Shawshank Redemption, adapted from the novel by Stephen Edwin King, had been acquired by director Frank Darabont for $5,000. After completing the script, it was submitted to Castle Rock Productions, where producer Liz Grozer appreciated it and persuaded the studio's executives to invest in the film. However, Castle Rock's owner, Robert Reiner, after reading the script, was satisfied and decided to direct it himself. Robert Reiner, a renowned Hollywood director known for films such as A Few Good Men and When Harry Met Sally, initially planned to cast Tom Cruise as the lead and Harry Fordson as the supporting actor. However, due to the high production costs, he abandoned the project and returned it to director Frank Darabont. Castle Stone Pictures initially planned to invest $25 million in the film. Initial funding was secured, casting was complete, and actors were on set awaiting filming. However, Castle Stone Pictures had a poor year, producing 18 films including The Man from Nowhere, The Line, The Game, The Kids, and The Bodyguard, all with mediocre results. Furthermore, with the supernatural genre booming last year, Castle Stone Pictures invested over $10 million in 8 low-budget thrillers to capitalize on the trend. They then spent over $20 million on marketing and promotion. As a result, several of these films performed poorly at the box office. Worse still, the scandals involving Richard Gere and Robert Downey Jr. last year directly led to the cancellation of 2 film projects, My Heart Belongs to You and First Samurai, resulting in a complete loss of early investment. Castle Rock Pictures suffered a loss of $125 million last year, and including past deficits, the company's current financial deficit is a staggering $280 million, roughly equal to its market capitalization. If the company's financial situation continues to deteriorate, it could go bankrupt at any time. As a result, Castle Rock Pictures had to cut some large-scale, seemingly unprofitable film projects, including The Shawshank Redemption. The Shawshank Redemption project lacked investment and had to be temporarily shelved. This is why Tim Robbins brought his team to guest the movies. After listening to Tim Robbins' introduction, Link sighed inwardly, "Isn't this a real-life example of the butterfly effect? Link, you can take a look at this script. It's about hope, freedom, redemption, and friendship. It's really excellent," Tim Robbins enthusiastically introduced. Link smiled, took the script, and flipped through it. It was similar to the movie he remembered, with only some plot differences. Using the original cast and crew to film this script should be able to recreate the original. The original film received excellent reviews upon release, scoring above 90 points on major film websites and considered a masterpiece by film enthusiasts, comparable to films like Forrest Gump, Schindler's List, and Titanic. However, it didn't perform well at the box office, taking over a decade to recoup its costs, and it lost out to Forrest Gump at the Oscars and Golden Globes. Investing in this kind of film doesn't yield much profit and ties up company funds. The only advantage is its classic status, which can enhance the reputation of Guest C Pictures. Link considered it and decided to take on the project, but with one condition: he would serve as the film's producer and editor, deeply involved in the film's production. Upon hearing this condition, director Frank Darabont breathed a sigh of relief. Link is a world-class director with exceptional filmmaking and editing skills. His willingness to serve as producer and editor shows his commitment to the project, which is a good thing for the film. During their conversation, Link learned that producer Liz Grozer had fallen out with Castle Rock Pictures over the film and had since left. He proactively invited Ms. Grozer to join Guessing Pictures to continue producing The Shawshank Redemption. Liz Grozer was experienced in producing numerous films, and Guessing Pictures was currently short-staffed. Link naturally wouldn't let such a skilled professional slip by. Ms. Grozer readily accepted the invitation. Link then called Daniel DeVito, introducing him to the three of them and the new film project, The Shawshank Redemption. The Shawshank Redemption officially became a Guessing Pictures film. Besides The Shawshank Redemption, Link consulted with Daniel and Ms. Grozer, asking them to review several other projects abandoned by Castle Rock Pictures to see if they were worth investing in. Guessing Pictures currently had money. Investing in more films each year would generate more box office revenue, making the performance figures look better when the media release their results next year. A strong performance report could expand the company's copyright library, increase its market value, and boost investor confidence in Guess movies. Ms. Liz agreed. Chapter 214 Praising the Powerful and Belittling the Weak. Damn it. Link has stolen another project from us. In the Castle Rock Films president's office, Robert Reiner slammed down the phone and said to Alan Horn, head of production, "We received news that Frank Darabont took The Shawshank Redemption to guess the movies and, after talking to Link, he agreed to take the project. We can't just watch Guess the Movies snatch this project away. We have to fight back and have our legal department sue Darabont and Liz, making them pay damages for breach of contract." Executive producer Alan Horn shrugged. "That's difficult. The film's rights are in Frank Darabont's hands. By abandoning our investment in this project, we are actually in breach of contract, and Frank Darabont has the right to choose a new partner. It'll be very difficult to win this case in court." Robert Reiner's face was grim and he was very unhappy. Not long ago, Guess the Movies snatched the Good Will Hunting project from Castle Rock, and now they're trying to steal The Shawshank Redemption. It's really too much. Robert, we lack funds and can't continue supporting the filming of The Shawshank Redemption. We have no choice but to give up. It's expected that director Darabont will seek cooperation with other companies. President Robert Reiner knew this, but the company taking over the project was Guess Pictures, a company with an unfriendly relationship with Castle Rock Pictures, which was the real reason for his anger. What angered him even more was that, given Castle Rock Pictures' current financial situation, they had no way to retaliate against Guess Pictures. "Robert, take it easy. The Shawshank Redemption project is limited by its subject matter and is unlikely to sell well at the box office. That's why we gave up on this film. Now, if Link takes it on rashly, there's a high probability of losing tens of millions. Isn't that exactly the result we wanted?" Alan Horn persuaded. Robert Reiner frowned. When they were screening projects, they considered that The Shawshank Redemption had no female lead, no romance, only prison life, male friendship, and the hope for freedom, a very simple theme without large-scale scenes. This type of film rarely achieves good box office results. Thinking of this, he relaxed his brow. "I heard Link has a very good eye for film selection. All the movies he approves of end up being big hits: Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, The Wedding Banquet, The Joy Luck Club. These are examples. Will The Shawshank Redemption become a blockbuster in Link's hands? Haha, that's a misconception. Link invested in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective because he has a good relationship with the screenwriter and star, Jim Carrey. He invested in The Joy Luck Club and The Wedding Banquet because both films were directed by Chinese people. These three films weren't actually selected by Link, rather, they approached him. Besides, if Link had such a good eye, how could Soderbergh's The Unexpected Murder have lost money?" Alan Horn laughed nonchalantly. Robert Reiner's eyes lit up when he thought of the losses from The Unexpected Murder, and he nodded in agreement. However, thinking about how Guessing Pictures had repeatedly snatched projects from Castle Rock, and how Richard Gere and others' mishaps had caused the company's projects to lose money, Robert Reiner couldn't let go of his anger. He picked up the phone and called Michael Ovitz, accepting his invitation. Pulp Fiction grossed $12.41 million in its second week, bringing its North American total to $21.74 million. Critical acclaim continued to rise, with industry insiders enthusiastically praising Quentin Tarantino in newspapers. They said Pulp Fiction perfectly blended cinematic quality with commercial appeal, creating a classic film, and that he pioneered an aesthetic of romantic violence, making him a representative figure of violent aesthetics films. In praising Tarantino, many critics also mentioned Link, noting that the two used to live in the same neighborhood and both debuted at the 1992 Sundance Film Festival. Link first gained fame with several low-budget thrillers, becoming a hot topic in the directing world for 2 years. Now, Tarantino has become a sensation with Pulp Fiction and is showing signs of surpassing him. Industry professionals generally believe that Tarantino has greater potential as a director than Link. Look, it says so well here, but I really don't understand why my movie has such good reviews but such low box office growth, while Link's movie has such bad reviews but such fast box office growth. Harvey, can you tell me why? At Miramax Films, Quentin Tarantino patted the newspaper in his hand. It was full of praise, but the box office results were so meager. It felt unreal to him. It was like a group of professionals were hyping themselves up in the media, while ordinary audiences were completely unmoved. This situation was the exact opposite of Link's movies. After Link's movies were released, they were often criticized and scorned by professionals, and some newspapers even directly attacked them, saying that audiences who liked Link's movies were illiterate and had little cultural level. But the audiences ignored them and still went to the cinema to support them. This situation made Quentin feel helpless. Haha, Quentin, don't worry, Pulp Fiction is an art film, with a long screening period and strong box office momentum. According to the current box office growth, it won't be difficult to break $100 million in North America, Harvey said happily, looking at the newspaper. Seeing Link's films become huge hits in the past, Harvey often regretted focusing too much on Quentin Tarantino at the 1992 Sundance Film Festival and neglecting Link's talent, a classic case of losing the big picture for a small gain. Now, Tarantino's second film is released, with an $8 million budget grossing over $20 million in 2 weeks, and projected to break $100 million. The return on investment is over tenfold. This is fantastic. While it doesn't compare to Link's Paranormal Activity or The Blair Witch Project, it's still better than many young directors. This film will earn Miramax more than 10 times their initial investment. However, Harvey still has some regrets for not investing the entire budget in the film, letting the movies take half the box office revenue for free. Thinking about this, Harvey secretly cursed Link as a lucky bastard. 100 million, Quentin frowned upon hearing Harvey's words. You expect Pulp Fiction to only gross 100 million in North America. 100 million is pretty good. Pulp Fiction isn't a blockbuster. Exceeding 100 million in North America is a remarkable achievement. 100 million is too little. Harvey, Pulp Fiction is better than Paranormal Activity and The Blair Witch Project, and its box office should be much higher. I hope Miramax will promote the film heavily, using the media to create buzz and attract more attention, just like Link did. If the promotion is done well, I believe the box office will be even better, perhaps surpassing The Blair Witch Project and Final Destination. As for Paranormal Activity, its North American box office of $318 million was ridiculously high. Surpassing it would be extremely difficult. Quentin, Link's movies are so successful because their themes are close to real life, easily resonating with ordinary people. They also easily connect with social news, giving Link room for hype. Pulp Fiction, on the other hand, has a lot of artistic embellishment and lacks topicality, making it difficult to hype. Pulp Fiction tells 3 stories: Vincent and Marcellus's wife, the gold watch, and Bonnie's situation. Each story has a protagonist, with other characters playing supporting roles in the other 2. These stories are artistically embellished and contain many exaggerations, fictional elements, and illogical points. There's no suitable material for hype during promotion. Quentin frowned. Call Link and ask for his opinion. He has extensive experience in film promotion, Harvey disagreed. He'd worked in the film industry for over 20 years, promoting and distributing dozens of films. In that respect, Link was far less experienced than him. Furthermore, the recently released film, The Unexpected Murder, was a box office flop, and despite Link's heavy investment in promotion, it didn't improve. From this perspective, Link wasn't so impressive after all. However, he did not refute Quentin's words, saying that he would talk to Link about publicity later and see if Link had any good ideas. Chapter 215 Hong Kong Island Beauty. When Link received Harvey's call, he was visiting the set of Rumble in the Bronx to check on the filming progress. Rumble in the Bronx is set in New York and tells the story of truck driver Wong Kok-wee, who travels to New York for Uncle Piu's wedding and, due to his chivalrous nature, gets caught up in a diamond theft and becomes a target of the mafia. To save costs, the main filming locations are Universal Studios, Hong Kong Island, and Toronto, Canada. Guess what film's production department is handling overall coordination, while Golden Harvest is responsible for filming. With a collaboration of both companies, filming is progressing smoothly and is expected to be completed before June. Link overheard Harvey asking on the phone if there were any good strategies for promoting Pulp Fiction. Link thought for a moment and said no. This film is too niche, fans will love it and consider it a classic of violent aesthetics, while those who don't like it won't watch it. This kind of film mainly relies on word of mouth to slowly drive box office growth. Other promotional efforts are unnecessary. However, considering Quentin Tarantino is a very individualistic and controversial director, he suggested arranging more TV interviews for Quentin Tarantino during the promotional period, allowing him to discuss controversial topics and generate buzz for the film through Tarantino's popularity. A surge in Tarantino's fame would also benefit Miramax Films, saving on promotional expenses when releasing his films in the future. Harvey nodded, suddenly realizing Tarantino was right. Link was indeed good at publicity, even for a film like Pulp Fiction, which lacked any real buzz. He could find something to hype. Harvey couldn't match that. Call an ambulance. Jack fell off the scaffold, a crew member suddenly shouted. A group of people rushed over and saw Chen Long lying in a pile of wooden crates. Hearing the crew member say to call an ambulance, Chen Long quickly waved his hand, saying it wasn't necessary. He had only twisted his ankle and scraped his skin, it wasn't a serious injury, and he could handle it himself. Chen Long asked his assistant to bring his first aid kit, wiped away the blood from his wound, applied some medicine, and returned to filming in less than 10 minutes. Link approached director Stanley Tong, urging them to be cautious during filming, to plan ahead for dangerous action scenes, and to thoroughly check props on set to minimize injuries. Last April, Bruce Lee's only son, Brandon Lee, died at the age of 28 after a prop gun accidentally fired a live bullet during the filming of The Crow. He was shot in the abdomen and bled to death. Link was deeply saddened by the incident. He hadn't even considered Brandon Lee if the accident hadn't happened. Now, working with the Chinese superstar Chen Long, caution was paramount. An accident involving the lead actor would not only delay the schedule but also incur significant additional expenses for the production, making it uneconomical. It was better to implement safety precautions before filming. Mr. Link, good morning. While chatting with director Tong, the female lead, Vivian Chow, approached and greeted him softly. The woman, in her early 20s, had an oval face, delicate features, and flawless skin. She wore thin-rimmed platinum glasses and had a sweet, gentle voice, exuding a charmingly bespectacled air. However, she blinked frequently as she spoke, revealing a hint of reserve. Link nodded and replied, "Hello, Miss Joe." Rumble in the Bronx has two main female characters. Out of respect for him, Golden Harvest sent him the profiles of 10 actresses, including Anita Mui, Vivian Chow, Joey Wong, Michelle Race, Ching Mi-yor, and Amy Yip, all beauties from China. While reviewing the profiles, Link truly understood the dilemma faced by ancient emperors: 3 palaces, 6 courtyards, and 72 concubines. Choosing any one would leave something to be desired. After inquiring with director Stanley Tong about his requirements for the female lead, he chose Vivian Chow. There was no other reason than that she was suitable for the role, and she was also a famous singer and actress from Hong Kong, with considerable fame and box office appeal throughout Asia. "Is everything going well on set, Miss Joe?" "Very well, everyone is very considerate." Vivian Chow glanced at him, then lowered her head, her cheeks flushed. "This is my business card. You can call me if you encounter any difficulties." Her assistant, Annie, handed Vivian Chow a business card. Vivian Chow thanked him, blushing. While the two were talking, the surrounding staff turned to look, their faces showing ambiguous expressions, as if they had witnessed another affair. Link and Vivian Chow chatted for a few moments, then Link said goodbye and left the set to visit other film sets to see what difficulties they were facing. The script issues for Good Will Hunting had been resolved. Matt Damon had written a new script according to director Sand's requirements. After reading it, director Sand felt it wasn't as good as the revised version and decided to film it as the original. Before filming The Man from Earth, Sophia hired several veteran actors to play professors in various disciplines and gave them 3 weeks of dialogue training. Furthermore, director Francis Ford Coppola, upon hearing that Sophia was making a film, volunteered to be a producer and art director, acting as a responsible and loving father. The cinematographer, sound engineer, prop master, and other staff members came from Link and Coppola's previous film crews, all experienced technical experts. Sofia's film crew was truly luxurious. You've got so many veteran actors, is the film budget enough? Link looked at the small crew, a large group of relatively unknown but incredibly talented actors. The $20,000 budget only covered one person's salary. Enough, more than enough. They volunteered to join the crew, acting for free. Sofia, wearing the same director's vest and jeans as him, her hair in a ponytail, hands in her pockets, looked more capable than usual. No need for free. We can increase the film budget, up to $2 million is fine, no need. They're willing to act in this film because the script is good enough to pique their interest. There's no need for extra expenses. Besides, you made Barrett and Paranormal Activity with $20,000, why can't I? Sofia glanced at him, her face filled with a fierce determination, looking somewhat endearing. Yes, you can too. You'll become the world's best female director someday, Link laughed, his arm around her waist. Director is director, why add female? Sofia bumped his stomach with her arm. Because the best director in the world in the future will definitely be me, you? A trash film director, the next Ed Wood, Sofia laughed mockingly. Link smiled and prepared to leave, because while chatting with Sofia, director Francis Ford Coppola kept staring at them with a long face and an unhappy expression. Don't rush off. We'll all be busy with our own things for the next few weeks, and we don't know when our next date will be. Since you're here today, let's make an appointment first. Sofia pulled him to the room upstairs. Here, the set of The Man from Earth was in a quaint villa in the southern suburbs. 8 actors were reading the script and rehearsing their lines in the living room, including the great director Coppola. Was it appropriate to have a date here? Come on. I know you can handle it. Sofia let the actors, who were of the older generation, continue practicing their lines and dragged him upstairs to their date. Director Coppola stared at their backs, his long face stretching even longer, just like his nephew Nicolas Cage's face. Several actors of the older generation wanted to make a few jokes, but seeing his unpleasant expression and the fact that he couldn't take a joke, they wisely kept quiet and continued studying the script. Chapter 216 Passionate Moments on Set. Happy times always fly by. Half an hour later, Sofia slowly came downstairs. Judging from her flushed cheeks, slow gait, and satisfied expression, the uncles and aunts in the lobby didn't need to guess what they'd been upstairs doing. Director Coppola glanced over, his face darkening, and walked over, gritting his teeth as he asked, "Where's Link?" "He's gone." "Did you need him?" Sofia asked. Link, embarrassed to use the lobby stairs, had come down the outside stairs afterward. Director Coppola glared at her, pulling Sofia's arm into the aisle. "Look at yourself. Don't you know Link's a playboy? Why do you hang out with him? What future is there in that?" Sofia shrugged. "What future? Is it like Mom and many other women giving up their good jobs to become housewives? Or is it marrying an older billionaire and becoming a wealthy widow after he dies? Or finding a young, successful man to date and marry, spending the rest of my life maintaining a seemingly happy relationship?" Director Coppola frowned. "These things don't mean much to you. Does hanging out with a playboy like Link mean you have a future? I don't know, and I haven't thought about these things. I'm only 23. It's too early to think about those things. Besides, you men often dream of dating the sexiest women in the world, and so do we women. In my eyes, Link is the best, coolest, and most powerful man in the world. I'm happy and satisfied dating him." "Dad, don't you want to see me happy?" Director Coppola scoffed. "You're only happy now. You can't be happy every day. You should find someone who truly loves you." "No need." Sofia waved her hand and returned to the set to prepare for filming. Director Coppola sighed, clutching his aching back. "Dad, you don't need to concern yourself with my personal life. I'm an adult, I know what I should and shouldn't do." After reviewing the progress of several film crews, Link took his crew to Vancouver, Canada, to shoot his new movie. Vancouver is Canada's third largest city, the political, cultural, tourism, and transportation center of Western Canada, and is also known as Hollywood North due to its thriving entertainment industry. Link was filming The Butterfly Effect, a film that had been in preparation for over 3 months. Scene 1, Shot 1, Action. The script supervisor clapped the clapperboard, and filming began. Because the plot of The Butterfly Effect is quite complex, filming it in the order it appears in the movie would make the story seem scattered and difficult to understand. During filming, Link followed a chronological order, starting with the four main characters' childhoods, then their adolescence, the male lead's college years, and later his hospitalization in a mental hospital, making the plot clearer. Evan, the male lead, was playing with his dog on the lawn in front of the house when his mother, Andrea, called out to him. Evan dropped the dog and ran quickly to the car, where he saw his mother fixing it. "Are we going to be late again? When did you start caring about being late for school?" Julianne Moore, who played Andrea, laughed as she tightened a screw. "Our school is putting up photos of Parents' Night today," Evan said. "Don't worry, we still have time." Andrea put down the screwdriver, took off her tool coat, revealing a waitress uniform underneath, indicating that her job was just a regular waitress. "Is Daddy coming today, honey?" "You know the answer. Can't he even come out for one day? We've said it countless times, it's dangerous for him, but Lenny said his dad will be coming, and so will Tommy and Kelly's dad." "Okay, I get what you mean." Andrea got into the car and said, "But it's not so bad if I go, right?" "Yes," Evan nodded, looking rather disappointed. Cut. Link reviewed the footage and approved it. The actor playing young Evan was a 10-year-old with little acting experience, but the crew had rehearsed many times before filming, and the young actor performed very well. Julianne Moore also gave a great performance. Furthermore, this film is a suspense thriller. Its brilliance lying in its unique time travel concept and the impact of complex cause and effect relationships on everyone's real life. During filming, acting skills aren't the primary focus. The key is in editing, breaking the original logical chain of the story, re-editing and recombining it to make a simple story complex and mind-bending. This type of film tests the director's directing ability and the editor's skill. While The Butterfly Effect was in production, Guess See Pictures' second film of the year, Dumb and Dumber, was released. A co-production of Guess See Pictures and New Line Cinema, the film had a production budget of $16 million, was greenlit in August of last year, and wrapped filming in November. It tells the story of two dim-witted guys who fall for a beautiful woman. In the pursuit, they are targeted by robbers. While not particularly intelligent, they are incredibly lucky, frequently escaping danger by sheer luck and causing trouble for the robbers, somewhat similar to the premise of Home Alone. The film grossed $16.36 million in its opening week in 2,447 theaters in North America, taking the top spot at the box office. Despite its strong box office performance, it received terrible reviews. Many critics accused Guess See Pictures of only making low-IQ films, from Shudder and the Witch Toys Venturo, Pet Detective and Dumb and Dumber, saying that the main characters in their films are generally not very intelligent. They can be watched without thinking, but anyone with a modicum of logic will find them unwatchable. Renowned film critic Rudin Batchelor categorized these films as Link movies. These films generally have low budgets, extreme plots, thrillers that focus solely on suspense, and comedies with no limits to humor, illogical plots, and everything serving the purpose of comedy. The audience is generally less educated and has lower aesthetic standards. The focus is on marketing and box office revenue rather than cinematic art, and box office returns are relatively high. Batchelor's Link movies concept gained widespread acceptance within the industry, to the point that films meeting these criteria were subsequently collectively referred to as Link movies. Despite receiving much criticism after its release, Dumb and Dumber maintained high attendance. In its second week, box office revenue actually increased, reaching $24.39 million, bringing its North American total to $40.75 million, surpassing Pulp Fiction, which had been released 2 weeks earlier. Quentin Tarantino, upon seeing the box office figures, was furious, shouting and criticizing in an interview that viewers who enjoyed Dumb and Dumber were fools, and that the current audience generally lacked discernment, preferring bad movies to classic films. This news sparked considerable controversy within the industry. Some supported Quentin Tarantino's statement, heavily criticizing Link movies. Others accused him of attacking the audience and demanded an apology. Jim Carrey, in a media interview, opposed Tarantino's claims, arguing that film is an entertainment product, not a matter of high or low brow, high or low intelligence, and that those with high artistic appreciation shouldn't ridicule others. He believed Tarantino should apologize. Catherine Zeta-Jones, who starred in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, said Tarantino is a good director, but his remarks were disappointing, and he should apologize to the audience. Tarantino refused to apologize, publicly criticizing Link movies in an interview, calling them low quality, fooling audiences, and like junk food. He argued that Jim Carrey and the Dumb and Dumber crew should apologize. He also argued that Link, as a representative of this genre, should also apologize. Link was filming in Vancouver and didn't have time to deal with these controversies. A representative from Guessing Pictures' public relations department responded, claiming that film is a form of popular entertainment culture, its purpose being to entertain the masses, not just filmmakers themselves. True filmmakers consider the general audience when creating films, not pandering to a small group or making films solely for awards. Guessing Pictures believes Link's film, and indie Dumb and Dumber, are genuinely good films because audiences enjoy them. Shortly after Guessing Pictures' statement, news surfaced that Quentin Tarantino frequently attended strip club performances and was a gold member of a major club, along with photos of him laughing heartily while watching Dumb and Dumber. Enraged by these photos, Tarantino called Link, accusing him of being dishonest. He said they had agreed to a joint publicity stunt and a fixed fight, so why did he release such damaging information? How could he face anyone after this? Link replied that Harvey was in charge of the publicity stunt, and that he should blame Harvey. Quentin was annoyed, saying that he had even contributed his dirty secrets for the sake of publicity, resulting in a huge loss. He said he would also expose Link's dirty secrets, such as Link having many girlfriends. Link said, "Whatever. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels." Chapter 217 Hunting Link. Because Dumb and Dumber was a guessing game film, while Pulp Fiction was ostensibly a Miramax project, some media outlets called the controversy a battle between guessing games and Miramax. Others claim that Quentin Tarantino and Link had a falling out, going from friends to rivals. Affected by these controversies, both Dumb and Dumber and Pulp Fiction saw increased exposure and a significant rise in attendance. Pulp Fiction earned $10.05 million in its fifth week, 23% more than the previous week, bringing its cumulative total to $51.4 million. Dumb and Dumber earned $25.74 million this week, bringing its cumulative total to $67.46 million, and was projected to gross over $100 million in North America, becoming the first film to break the $100 million mark in North America in 1994. In the second week, Guessing Games and Miramax prepared to continue promoting the two films, but disruptive elements appeared in newspapers and magazines such as the Los Angeles Times, American Express, and Variety. Several newspapers claimed that both Pulp Fiction and Dumb and Dumber were films invested in by Guessing Games. Last week, Quentin Tarantino, Jim Carrey, and Guess the Movies accused each other of orchestrating a publicity stunt to boost the exposure of their two films. Don't fall for it. With a spoiler emerging, continuing the hype became less effective, forcing Miramax and Guess the Movies to shelve their plans. Haha, Shirley, I heard your new movie suffered losses. I'm sorry to hear that. In the CAA president's office, Michael Ovitz put down his newspaper and picked up the phone to call Paramount Pictures president Shirley Lansing. "Michael, get to the point quickly, I'm busy." Shirley Lansing looked at the reports on her desk, clearly displeased. Paramount Pictures also had a film released in April, Star Road, a crime comedy about a man who deliberately staged a robbery to gain fame. The film had a production cost of $30 million, but only grossed $3.52 million in its first 4 weeks. Due to low attendance and high marketing costs, the film had to be pulled from theaters after only 4 weeks. Paramount Pictures lost a whopping $30 million on the project. The box office losses angered the board, and as president of the film company, she faced immense pressure. "Shirley, didn't you see? Link is retaliating against Paramount. He knew you had a major project releasing soon and deliberately scheduled Pulp Fiction and Dumb and Dumber to be released around the same time as Star Road, to rob the film's box office. Without Pulp Fiction and Dumb and Dumber, Star Road wouldn't have fared so poorly at the box office," Michael Ovitz said. Shirley Lansing tapped her fingers on the desk, not entirely agreeing with Michael Ovitz. Star Road's box office failure was mainly due to less compelling plot and insufficient humor, which audiences didn't enjoy, rather than being robbed by other films. However, without Pulp Fiction and Dumb and Dumber, Star Road would indeed have grossed more. Michael, why are you bringing this up? I remember your bet is over, yes, but don't you think Link is a jerk? He's like an outsider. After he entered Hollywood, the established order was disrupted. The Big Seven studios are no longer the most profitable film companies, big stars have become less important, good movies aren't getting the box office they deserve, and bad movies are selling like hotcakes. Hollywood is now a mess. Have you ever thought about getting rid of Link and Guess the Movies, letting the Big Seven studios regain control of Hollywood? No. I'm the chairman of Paramount Pictures. My main task is to make money from movies, to make more profits to satisfy the shareholders. Getting rid of Link and Guess the Movies isn't my mission, that's not contradictory. Before '92, the Big Seven studios firmly controlled Hollywood. In 1993, Guess the Movies, a film company established only 2 years prior, with a few terrible movies, stole market share that originally belonged to the Big Seven studios and forcefully entered the top 7. Although last year Guess the Movies ranked 6th in total box office, and Paramount ranked 4th, judging from the current momentum, Guess Movies' film performance this year will be even better than last year, taking away more market share that originally belonged to the Big Seven studios. It will also surpass Paramount and 20th Century Fox to enter the top 4, or even the top 3, in the film industry. Once Guess Movies surpasses it, Paramount's profitability will inevitably decline again. How will you explain that to Chairman Redstone and those shareholders? Michael Ovitz sneered. Shirley Lansing couldn't refute him. Of the more than 40 films released in the first quarter of this year, only 2 had a chance to break $100 million at the North American box office, Pulp Fiction and Dumb and Dumber, both produced by Guess Movies. In the first quarter, Guess Movies had the best box office performance and earned the most among Hollywood film companies. The film industry's annual profit is limited, over $5 billion. Originally, 90% belonged to the Big Seven studios, but this percentage has dropped significantly after Guess Movies' rise. Now, for every dollar Guess Movies earns, the Big Seven studios earn $1 less. Guess what films is robbing the Big Seven studios? Shirley Lansing also dislikes Guess What Films and wants to see the company go bankrupt to reduce the workload for its executives. However, Link is a very capable director with a net worth of over $1 billion. She or her company simply can't do it alone. What do you want to do? We'll team up to drive Link out and take over Guess What Films. We'll team up. Shirley Lansing shook her head. Michael Ovitz, while president, founder, and major shareholder of CAA with a net worth of $400 or $500 million and deep connections in the entertainment industry, is no match for Link. To suppress such an opponent, at least 3 of the Big Seven studios would need to join forces to suppress Guess What Films' box office and drive Link out of Hollywood. Teaming up with only Michael Ovitz would be unlikely to succeed. It's not just our 2 companies. I've spoken with the presidents of the 7 major film studios and several independent film companies. Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, Universal Pictures, Carlock Pictures, and Castle Rock are willing to join forces against Guess the Movie. MGM, Disney, and Columbia Pictures have agreed to remain neutral. With their combined forces, Link and Guess the Movie are doomed to fail, Michael Ovitz said confidently. Shirley Lansing thought for a moment. Vanguard and Morgan Stanley won't stand by and watch us short Guess Movie. Hearing Shirley Lansing say we, Michael Ovitz laughed. Don't worry, Vanguard and Morgan Stanley won't interfere with our competition. They're not only shareholders of Guess Movie, but also shareholders of several other companies. Even if Guess Movie goes bankrupt, it won't affect them much. But speaking of which, Link is really stupid. If he had sold most of his shares to Vanguard and Morgan Stanley during the first round of financing, with 2 investment companies protecting him, no company in Hollywood would have targeted him. Unfortunately, he was too greedy. Shirley Lansing remained non-committal. Michael, there's something I don't understand. We 7 studios are targeting Link because you stole our box office revenue. What's your reason for targeting him? I heard Guess Movie doesn't object to working with CAA's artists. Michael Ovitz scoffed. I naturally have my reasons. He had many reasons. Last year, he lost over $20 million in a bet, including principal and interest. Including connections and lost wages, his losses reached tens of millions. Besides losing money, CAA also lost people. After the bet ended, Richard Gere, Robert Downey Jr., Dustin Hoffman, and others ran into trouble. These people were originally CAA's cash cows, but Link ruined their reputations, leading to a decline in CAA's reputation and influence. WMA and Utah even poached several important clients. These events severely impacted CAA's revenue last year. CAA's commission revenue was $240 million, down 8% from 1992, marking the first decline in nearly 5 years. According to company reports, the decline in profits was largely due to Michael Ovitz's involvement in the bet. This also angered the board, who questioned him at the beginning of the year, causing him considerable embarrassment. Had he not held a large number of shares as president, he might have been removed from his position. And all of this was caused by Link. It was a personal vendetta. Furthermore, he received promises from several film companies that they would pay him large commissions after ruining Guess the Movies. This is the key point. When Shirley Lansing heard that such companies had joined forces, she agreed to join the alliance to gang up on Link and Guess the Movies, try to bring down the company, and restore Hollywood to its original order. Chapter 218: The Beauty Trap. Besides calling Shirley Lansing, Michael Ovitz also privately contacted Robert Shea, president of New Line Cinema, and the Weinstein brothers of Miramax Films. He suggested that Link and Guess the Movies were too greedy, stealing market share from their competitors and disrupting the established order of Hollywood, a real troublemaker. Ovitz asked if they were interested in joining forces against Link and Guess the Movies. Robert Shea stated that the rise of Guess the Movies wouldn't significantly impact New Line Cinema, as there was no conflict of interest, and he didn't want to get involved. Harvey Weinstein inquired about the benefits, pointing out that even without Guess the Movies, the 7 major studios would still pocket 90% of the box office revenue, meaning this deal wouldn't offer Miramax any significant advantage. Michael Ovitz said he would contact the 7 major studios and provide them with resources after the deal was done. Harvey Weinstein didn't immediately respond, saying he needed to consider it. Seeing the two men's lack of enthusiasm, Michael Ovitz hinted that the 7 studios had decided to join forces against Link, dividing up Gooseplay Pictures. He suggested that even if their 2 companies didn't participate, they shouldn't continue working with Gooseplay Pictures to avoid being targeted. Robert Shea and Harvey weren't too concerned. They were now subsidiaries of Warner Brothers and Disney respectively, enjoying the benefits of being under powerful umbrellas, and their involvement wouldn't affect them. However, they didn't want to be targeted by the 7 studios and stated they would remain neutral in the competition. Hearing this, Michael Ovitz didn't try to persuade them further. He also contacted key clients of CAA, including Spielberg, Stallone, Bruce Willis, George Clooney, and Tom Hanks, mentioning the 7 studios' plan to join forces against Gooseplay Pictures and urging them to be cautious about working with Link. Rumors quickly spread in Hollywood that the 7 studios and CAA planned to jointly blacklist Link and Gooseplay Pictures to curb Gooseplay Pictures' rapid growth. Gooseplay Pictures faced unprecedented challenges in a critical situation. It could easily go bankrupt. Tom, is this true? In a Beverly Hills villa, Nicole Kidman pointed to a newspaper article about the crisis at the Guess the Movies studio and asked Tom Cruise across from her. Tom Cruise, legs crossed, was reading a news script when he glanced at the newspaper and sneered, "That's right, it was Michael Ovitz who started it." Last year, Guess the Movies' total box office and profits were too outstanding, seriously threatening the interests of the Big 7 studios. The Big 7 studios can't just stand by and watch Link steal their cake and eat it. Now they're preparing to join forces against Link. Link and Guess the Movie won't have any more good days. Nicole Kidman frowned her delicate eyebrows. A while ago, Vanguard Capital and Morgan Stanley participated in the financing of Guess the Movie, becoming shareholders. Do you think they'll just stand by and watch the Big 7 studios join forces against Link? How can you ask such a naive question? Vanguard Capital and Morgan Stanley are not only shareholders of Guess the Movie, but also shareholders of the Big 7 studios. Because Link was too short-sighted and released too few shares, the 2 investment companies only received a small number of shares. Even less than they would have with the Big 7 studios. Now that the 7 major studios have joined forces against Guess Movies, the 2 investment companies not only won't interfere, but they'd be happy to see this happen. No matter who wins, no, Guess Movies is doomed to fail. Guess will lose, go bankrupt, and the box office profits will return to the 7 major studios. They'll be beneficiaries too. Tom Cruise, legs crossed, spoke confidently, his spirits high. Hearing him call it childish, Nicole Kidman lowered her head. So, cooperating with Guess Movies now is dangerous? Of course. After this news, no Hollywood company will cooperate with Guess Movies anymore. not even actors and directors. Guess movies is doomed, Tom Cruise said confidently. Won't Link retaliate? Retaliate? Haha, with the 7 major studios joining forces against him, what makes him think he can retaliate? What will he use to retaliate? Tom Cruise sneered. He's a billionaire, worth over $1.5 billion, HMPH. What's $1.5 billion? This is Hollywood. The 7 major film studios are worth billions, even tens of billions. $1.5 billion is just a tiny ripple in the face of entertainment capital. If he dares to take all his assets to fight the 7 major film studios, he'll end up with nothing and have to go back to being a loader at a juice factory. Ha ha ha, Tom Cruise said, his mood gradually becoming cheerful. Nicole Kidman glanced at the news in the newspaper, pursed her lips, and said, Tom, you know that my new film project, At All Costs, was abandoned by Castle Rock Films a while ago. I wasn't really hoping for it, but yesterday producer Liz Grosser contacted me and said Guess Movies was going to take on the project and wanted me to reprise my role as the female lead, so I agreed. What? You're going to work with Guess Movies? Tom Cruise, as if provoked, stood up and shouted at Nicole Kidman, how could you do this? After the betting incident, everyone knows that Link and I have a terrible relationship, and you're my wife, yet you're going to work with Link. Did you even consider my feelings? Did you even consider me your husband? Tom Cruise pounded his chest, extremely angry. Everyone knew Link was a womanizer. No actress who had ever worked with him had escaped his clutches. Nicole Kidman was currently the most beautiful woman in Hollywood. It was impossible for a playboy like Link not to have designs on her. Perhaps it was Link's decision that Guessing Pictures agreed to take on At All Costs, hoping to use this method to get close to Nicole, even sleep with her. As Nicole's husband and owner, Tom Cruise would never let that lecherous Link succeed. Nicole Kidman lowered her head, blinking her eyelashes. Tom, At All Costs is a female-centric movie. The lead role is perfect for me. It's a great opportunity for me. I don't want to miss it. Stop talking. No matter what you say, I won't let you work with Link. You can look for other roles. There are hundreds of movies in Hollywood every year. There's bound to be one that suits you. You don't need to fixate on one movie, Tom Cruise said impatiently. I don't want to be a pretty face in other movies. I want to play some beautiful but demanding roles, like the roles Link got for Monica Bellucci. Honey, you're better than Link. You can definitely get me those, right? Monica looked up at Tom Cruise, her beautiful lips pressed together. A hint of mockery in her deep blue eyes. You? Tom Cruise's face darkened, wanting to reprimand Nicole Kidman, but he couldn't open his mouth. Chapter 219 The Beauty Trap. Tom Cruise cursed Link in his heart. That bastard Link, after getting together with Monica Bellucci, kept feeding her good roles. Last year, Monica played a villainous female character in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and although the film received a lot of criticism after its release, her performance was recognized by many professionals. This year, Monica landed 2 more good roles. One was in the Johnny Depp biopic Ed Wood, about the famous Hollywood trash director of the 1950s and 60s, Link, who was once called Ed Wood II. Monica got the second female lead, Ed Wood's confidant. The other was in MGM's Golden Eye, where Monica played a Bond girl, a beautiful and deadly female agent. Both were very significant roles. These roles were actually secured for Monica by Uda Entertainment because of Link. However, rumors circulated that Link had paid a hefty sum to get the roles for Monica Bellucci. For a time, many actresses were very envious of Monica. Meanwhile, the boyfriends and husbands of female celebrities in the industry were under immense pressure. To avoid being outshone by Link, the men could only try to secure resources for them. However, they didn't have Link's money and resources, so they couldn't get any good roles. This made them seem incompetent in comparison. This also led many men to secretly resent Link, wondering why a playboy was so serious about picking up girls. Tom Cruise was also cursing Link in his heart. Nicole, don't rush. Good roles take time to find. Tom Cruise's voice softened. Is that not possible? Nicole Kidman's face showed deep disappointment, and she sneered. Why don't you go find Shirley Lansing and ask her if she'd be willing to invest in At All Costs? If she's willing to invest, I can give up my collaboration with Guessing Pictures. Nicole, don't believe those tabloid reports. Ms. Lansing and I are just business partners, not what you think. What are you talking about? I know you're business partners, but is there some other relationship between you? Nicole Kidman smiled enigmatically. No, I was just talking about those tabloid rumors. They're all false, Tom Cruise quickly explained. Okay, I believe you, and I hope you believe me too. I'm only working with Guess Pictures because they're willing to invest in this film. We have a basis for cooperation, nothing else. Nicole, are you sure you want to do this? You know the 7 major studios are planning to join forces against Guess. Guess is going to be in big trouble. Working with them is definitely not a good choice, I know. If I can find other investors, I'll change my mind. Until there are other investors, Guess Pictures is my only option right now. Tom, I'm an actress too, I need to work, I hope you can understand. Nicole Kidman picked up the magazines on the table, hugged them, and went upstairs. Bang! Tom Cruise angrily kicked the sofa. The 2 ragdoll cats lying on the cushions jumped up in fright, quickly leaping off the sofa and following their mistress upstairs. Link. Damn Link, Tom Cruise roared in a low voice. If it weren't for Link, his career wouldn't have been affected, his income wouldn't have dropped, and he and Nicole Kidman wouldn't have been arguing so often. It was all Link's fault, damn Link. At this moment, he desperately wanted to see guessing movies split up by the Big 7, to see Link go bankrupt and roll back into the slums. Ring ring. Ring ring. The phone rang suddenly. Tom Cruise answered the phone with a dark face. Michael Ovitz's rough voice came through the phone. Ovitz told him that the Mission Impossible project was confirmed, and he would still play the male lead. Tom Cruise said he understood. Mission Impossible was Paramount Pictures' recent key project. Initially, they planned to cast him as the male lead, but due to the gambling scandal and Rivers' death, his reputation was damaged to some extent, and the Paramount Pictures board of directors suggested that it would be safer to replace him. However, with Shirley Lansing's support, he wasn't worried about not getting the role. Michael Ovitz, hearing the unpleasantness in his voice, chuckled and asked you if he wanted to go out for a drink. Tom Cruise, remembering Ovitz's extensive connections, brought up the At All Costs project, asking if CAA was interested, like with other film projects, where CAA would secure investment, produce the film, and then sell it to a film company. At all costs? Wait, Tom, you mean the studio is planning to invest in this movie, and continue with Nicole as the lead? Yes, you suspect Link is after Nicole. I guess so. I ran into Link at the bar last time, and the way he looked at Nicole was full of greed. Is that so? That might be a good idea. A good idea? How could that be a good idea? That playboy Link is after Nicole, Tom Cruise said unhappily. Haha, Tom, do you want to see Link go bankrupt? Huh? Are these two things related? Of course they are. We've been looking for dirt on Link, but we haven't found anything substantial. If he seduces someone else's wife, destroys someone's marriage, or makes him a rapist, do you think Link's reputation will be ruined? Once his reputation is ruined, will anyone still watch his movies? If no one watches his movies, guess what? The film industry will definitely decline, and Link will go bankrupt. Isn't that what you've always wanted to happen? Nicole is my wife, Tom, you should know that Link is a billionaire. Billionaires belong to the top tier in America and enjoy certain privileges. To bring down someone like that is extremely difficult. You have to be willing to invest. If it's capital, we need to invest hundreds of millions, even billions. But if it's a woman, things will become very simple, and the effect will be excellent. Tom, hundreds of millions of dollars versus a woman, which is more important? I think you should understand, Michael Ovitz coaxed patiently. But Nicole is my wife, Tom. If this succeeds, guess what? The studio goes bankrupt, Link leaves Hollywood in a sorry state. CAA and the Big 7 studios will definitely remember your sacrifice and contribution, and open all their resources to you. With the support of the Big 7 studios, you will be the #1 person in Hollywood, and no one can threaten your position, Michael Ovitz said. Tom Cruise's hand holding the phone trembled. Michael, I need to think about it some more. You know, I love Nicole very much. Haha, I know. I won't force you. You have plenty of time to think about it. Tom, remember, we are friends. Whatever decision you make, I will support you. Michael Ovitz hung up the phone. Tom Cruise sat on the sofa, lost in thought. Click-clack. Nicole Kidman, wearing high heels and a white Chanel summer dress, carrying a Gucci handbag, came downstairs. Tall and graceful, with a curvaceous figure. The outline of her underwear was visible through the dress. At first glance, she exuded endless charm. Naomi asked me to have coffee. I'm going out for a bit, Nicole Kidman said casually. Nicole, Wait, Tom Cruise took a deep breath, looked up at Nicole Kidman. Regarding the At All Costs project, I agree to your collaboration with Guessing Movies. Chapter 220 Countering Moves. Cut. Link wasn't particularly affected by the changes in Hollywood. He was still filming The Butterfly Effect in Vancouver. Link reviewed the footage, then called Leonardo over for some pointers, telling him to be flexible in his performance, to relax when necessary and tense when needed, avoiding a stiff acting style. Leonardo was chosen for the lead role because of his handsome looks and his suitable age of 20. Furthermore, he had been nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor earlier this year for What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and his acting was considered reliable. Compared to the original lead, Ashton Kutcher, his performance was superior. Leonard, to play Evan well, you first need to understand that this character's personality isn't fixed. Each time he travels back in time, it brings new changes, including his appearance and emotions, and these changes gradually accumulate. This is before his first time travel. Evan is a sunny, cheerful young man. You need to pay attention to this in your performance and gradually add variations during filming to truly portray the character well. Director, I understand. Leonardo grinned, his smile radiant. Okay, let's continue filming. The actor returned to the set, the script supervisor clapped the clapperboard, and filming resumed. This scene depicts the protagonist, Evan, now grown up, attending university, excelling in all subjects, and living a very fulfilling life. He hasn't experienced any amnesia symptoms for 7 years. One day, during a date in his dorm, his date pulls a box from under his bed containing his past diaries. While reading the diaries, Evan suddenly travels back in time. Want some beer? Evan asks, crouching in front of the small refrigerator in the dorm. Yes, the girl searches in his bedside drawer, then lifts the covers to look under the bed. Do you have any fragrance or scented candles? While searching, she pulls out a cardboard box filled with diaries. Oh, this won't do. Evan turns to see the girl flipping through the diaries. Usually guys hide porn tapes under their beds. You hide diaries. The girl laughs, sitting on the bed. Yes, this is my diary. I've been keeping a diary since I was 7. Wow. The girl picked up a diary. Read me a passage. Evan hesitated for a moment, then smiled. I can't just read it for free. Let's make a deal. The girl smiled. Cut. Link looked at the camera and called Jennifer Lopez, the actress playing the college student, to direct the scene. Jennifer Lopez was 24 years old, a Puerto Rican beauty with tanned skin, a curvaceous and sexy figure. Currently, she was still a new actress, not the Latin pop star she would later become. Jennifer, your character Sarah is a college student who has a certain fondness for Evan and plans for a long-term relationship. When you interact with her, don't be too flirtatious. Just show some curiosity and appreciation. Be careful to be moderate in your performance. Director, I understand. Jennifer Lopez bit her lip, looking very nervous. Relax, I'm not a monster, Jennifer Lopez chuckled. That's it, go get ready. Link waved his hand and continued directing the crew to film. This time, Jennifer Lopez performed much better. One scene was completed in just 2 takes. During the midday break, Link received a call from Michael Leeson in his office from Los Angeles. Michael mentioned recent Hollywood rumors that the 7 major studios and several independent production companies were planning to join forces to suppress Guest C Pictures. Link asked if the 7 major studios had taken any action against Guest C recently. Michael Leeson said he hadn't found anything yet, but didn't rule out the possibility that the 7 major studios had already taken action, but Guest C Pictures hadn't noticed. Link told Michael to continue monitoring the 7 major studios' movements. If any company showed hostility towards Guest C Pictures, a strong response was necessary. Even if Guest C Pictures' current size couldn't threaten the 7 major studios, they must not show weakness or be seen as easy to bully. Michael Leeson said he understood. Link thought for a moment, then called Daniel DeVito, asking him to submit the projects for Hachiko, Run Back the Groom, and Ace Ventura, Pet Detective 2 to Columbia Pictures, Universal Pictures, Paramount Pictures, Disney, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, and MGM, inquiring about their interest in collaboration. He wanted to test whether the 7 major studios were truly prepared to join forces to suppress Guest C Pictures. If so, Guest C would need to prepare in advance to avoid being too slow and passively attacked. Link, want some coffee? Thanks. Renee Zellweger put her coffee down on the desk. Renee was the female lead in this film. She was chosen for the role because she had a girl-next-door charm, good acting skills, and was hard-working. While her looks and figure were also quite outstanding, they weren't as aggressive as Monica and Jennifer's, making her more suitable for the female lead's character. Rennie, you don't have many scenes this week, so you don't need to stay on set all the time. You can do other work first, and I'll have my assistant call you when your scenes are scheduled. I don't have any other plans lately. My main job is to play Carrie well. Of course, if you mind me being too close to you, I can keep my distance. Renee Zellweger smiled slightly. The girl's long, golden hair was loose, and her cheeks were flushed from the heat. She wore a white t-shirt and blue hot pants, revealing a slender, fair waist, exuding the unique sexiness and vitality of a young girl. I don't mind. Without you, who'll give me such fragrant coffee? Link laughed. Just coffee? I can do other things for you, anything, as long as you want, Renee said earnestly. Yes, you're very good. Link pinched her soft cheek and continued calling Jack Brennan, the investment director of Flash Gold Capital, asking him to acquire Disney stock from the stock market, starting with about 2%. The internal power struggle at Walt Disney is intensifying, with Chairman Frank Welsh, CEO Michael Eisner, and Walt Disney Animation Studios Chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg locked in a fierce battle for control. This discord among Disney's top management has led to lackluster box office performance in recent years and a decline in Disney's stock price, from a peak of $26 billion in 1992 to the current $19.5 billion. This current downturn presents a good opportunity to invest in Disney. With a future market capitalization of $200 to $300 billion, Disney is poised to become Hollywood's most powerful film and entertainment company, making it a worthwhile time to acquire shares. The plan is to gradually acquire approximately 10% of Disney's shares over the next 10 years, becoming a major shareholder, further controlling the board of directors, and ultimately influencing Hollywood, even controlling the Hollywood film industry. Acquiring 1% of Disney shares would require approximately $300 to $400 million, which can be borrowed from banks. Flash Capital owns shares in Microsoft, Cisco, Utah, Marvel, and other companies, worth $1.50 $1.6 billion, making a $300 to $400 million loan from banks relatively straightforward. While he was discussing business, Renee Zellweger sat across from him at the desk, propping her chin on her hand, her eyes fixed on him without blinking. Listening to him talk about investments worth hundreds of millions of dollars as casually as buying coffee, her heart raced, her breathing quickened, and her face flushed. She glanced at the doorway, pursed her lips, gathered her loose hair back, and slowly squatted down in front of the chair. Link gave a soft hum, ruffled the girl's hair, and continued his phone call. Chapter 221 Leonardo. Hey guys, you know what I just saw? On the other side of the set of The Butterfly Effect, Leonardo DiCaprio sat down with a plate in hand, winking at his two co-stars, Mark Wahlberg and Philip Seymour Hoffman. An alien, Mark Wahlberg joked. Leonardo looked around and lowered his voice. I saw Renee. She went to Link's office, alone. So what? You've been to Link's office before, Mark Wahlberg said. The portly Philip Seymour Hoffman chuckled as he ate his pizza. It's different. We went there to discuss work. The newspapers say Renee is Link's girlfriend. Leonardo looked around again and added, one of them. That's okay. Director Link isn't married either, Mark Wahlberg said. Leonardo smiled, glancing at the chubby Philip. Hey, don't forget we have a kissing scene with Renee. Will Link be mad at us for that? I heard Chinese people are really bothered by that. Are you kidding? Link's a professional director. Why would he care about something like that? Mark Wahlberg said. Leonardo thought about it, and it seemed unlikely. He shrugged and buried his head in his food. After lunch break, everyone returned to the set to continue filming. Scene 137, Shot 6, Action. In the dormitory, Evan lay on his bed, reading a diary to a girl. He was reading about when he was 13, how little devil Tommy burned his pet dog to death in the junkyard, and how he and the chubby Renee were beaten. While reading, he suddenly fainted. This was Evan's first time traveling to the past. When Evan woke up, he didn't care about his date with a girl. He drove back to his past life, found the chubby Renee, and discovered that Renee had become autistic due to his time travel. His first love, Kelly, had become a struggling waitress and, because of his visit, had committed suicide. Back at school, Evan continues reading his diary, determined to change his terrible past and save Kelly and Lenny. The first time he travels back to when he was 7, Kelly's twisted father forces him and Kelly to make an indecent film. He harshly rebukes Kelly's father and threatens to kill him if he does it again. He wakes up to find Kelly transformed into his girlfriend, also in college, and they are very much in love and living a good life. However, Kelly's brother, Tommy, is affected and becomes a violent criminal, recently released from prison. During a date with Kelly, the devilish Tommy suddenly appears and fights with Evan, who accidentally kills him and is imprisoned. Because Evan is delicate and lacks fighting skills, he quickly gets a free pass. To change everything, Evan retrieves his diary and travels back in time again, this time to the junkyard, where he has the chubby Lenny kill Tommy beforehand. As a result of this incident, Lenny, the chubby boy, was imprisoned in a hospital as a mental patient, and his first love, Kelly, became a prostitute due to disfigurement, living a life worse than before. Seeing the tragic plight of his friends and first love, Evan once again travels back in time to when he was 13 years old, to the moment when they accidentally killed Mrs. Huban and her child by placing a detonator in the neighbor's mailbox during a prank. This time, Evan bravely steps forward to stop Mrs. Huban from approaching the mailbox, but when the detonator explodes, he is too close and is injured, losing both his arms and legs. When he wakes up, he is a cripple, and his first love, Kelly, and Lenny are a happy couple, showing affection in front of him. Tommy, the little devil, is now a bright and academically excellent college student, and his 3 friends treat him well and take care of him. However, his mother, affected by his disability, has been a long-term smoker and is terminally ill with lung cancer. Dissatisfied with his current situation, Evan travels back in time to when he was 7 years old. While filming indecent videos in the basement, he lit a detonator intending to kill Tommy and Kelly's abusive father, but accidentally killed Kelly instead. Upon waking, he was hospitalized as a mentally ill person. When he tried to travel through time again using the diary, his doctor told him there was never a diary. Everything before, his college experience, imprisonment, and physical disability, was a figment of his imagination, a way to escape the guilt of accidentally killing Kelly. Evan didn't believe it. Using a family videotape his mother had brought him, he traveled back to the moment before his birth, where he committed suicide by wrapping the umbilical cord around his neck while still in his mother's womb. There were originally 2 endings for the film. One was that Evan used the videotape to travel back to a family gathering when he was a child, bullying Kelly and making her hate him. Ultimately, Kelly and Tommy lived with their mother, escaping the torment of their abusive father. Later, the 2 met again in college, passing each other as strangers. However, the version where he committed suicide with the umbilical cord is considered more classic and highly praised by audiences, and Link used this ending in the film. Cut. Leon, get some emotion into it. You need to immerse yourself in the role, truly see yourself as Evan, and only then can you play this character well. Got it, director? I'm trying. Leonardo shrugged and smiled. Leon, you're the most talented actor I've ever worked with. I believe you can do even better, Link said earnestly. Leonardo's eyes lit up, and he nodded excitedly, promising to do a good job. The crew continued filming. Evan returned to his dorm, found all his diaries, and began to read them one by one. He took out the oldest one and opened it to read. Anyway, I didn't really want to act in any movies. I was cold and wanted to put on some clothes, but Mr. Miller took off my shirt. Leonardo frowned, staring at the diary, his expression becoming complicated. Seeing Leonardo on camera, Link couldn't help but think of his performances in Shutter Island and Inception. His characters in the 3 films were somewhat similar, all were people with mental problems. While Leonardo DiCaprio's performance is still somewhat immature and not as good as it would be over a decade later, it still has its merits and seems more suitable than the original lead actor. Link estimates that casting Leonardo DiCaprio as the lead actor would bring in more box office subsidies. What the hell are you doing? Asked his chubby roommate. SHH. Be quiet, don't bother me, Evans said. Are you stupid, buddy? His chubby roommate came over and took the diary from his hand. Maybe there's a reason you've deliberately forgotten about that pervert making you wear those little briefs. I suggest you don't continue doing that. You might wake up in a worse state than you are now, worse than I am now, Evan laughed self-deprecatingly. You think you know me well? I don't even know myself. Evan snatched back the diary, stared at it for a moment, and then, remembering his roommate's advice, slammed it shut. Cut. Leon, the emotional outburst in the scene isn't intense enough. Evan is a perfectionist. Before opening the diary, he thought his life was perfect. When he flips through the diary and sees those terrible memories he had almost forgotten, he almost breaks down. You need to understand Evan's emotions. If you can't, think about things you've experienced in the past that almost broke you. Link was guiding Leonardo into the role. Although getting actors into character can affect their perception, and some actors even struggle to detach themselves after becoming immersed in the role, this method of guidance is very effective and makes filming much more efficient. This is why many directors are willing to let actors immerse themselves in the role. Leonardo nodded, began to adjust his emotions, and started performing again. Chapter 222 Box office exceeds 100 million. I've heard that Link is a master at coaching actors, and those who work with him often see a significant improvement in their acting skills. Now I completely believe it, Julianne Moore said softly from the sidelines. Yes, I couldn't act before, but after working with him a few times, I'm a mature actress now, Renee Zellweger laughed. What's wrong with your voice? Julianne Moore noticed her slightly hoarse voice. It's so hot, my throat is a bit dry. Renee Zellweger's face flushed slightly as she took a sip of water from her bottle, letting the cool purified water soothe her burning throat. Renee, you're the actress Link has worked with the most, right? Link is so good to you, he is very good, Renee Zellweger laughed heartily. Link has directed 6 films to date, and she has played the lead role twice, a supporting role once, and had a cameo in Final Destination, making it 4 collaborations. This makes her the actress who has worked with Link the most times, even surpassing Monica Bellucci and Jennifer Connelly. Thinking about this, Renee Zellweger felt a little proud. Link's a real catch. Lots of women are eyeing him, wanting to get into his bed. Renee, you have to hold on to him and not let anyone else steal him away, Julianne Moore said, leaning on Renee's shoulder with a laugh. Link's not mine, how can I hold on to him? But I'm not worried about anyone else taking him. Link may be a bit of a womanizer, but he's a really good man, unlike those playboys who fall in love with every woman they meet. I can see that too, he treats all the women around him very well. Julianne Moore glanced at Link beside the camera. Link was directing the actors, looking serious and focused, and very charismatic. Renee Zellweger also looked at Link, suddenly noticing Jennifer Lopez, who played the college student, still on the sidelines. With long, dark brown hair, tan skin, and a curvaceous figure, she was a very hot Latina beauty. She waved to Lopez. Jennifer Lopez quickly approached and quietly greeted Renee Zellweger and Julianne Moore. Renee Zellweger and Julianne Moore were big stars in the cast, not someone a newcomer like herself could afford to offend. Renee Zellweger asked which agency she was with and how she got into the production. Jennifer Lopez mentioned a small agency Renee Zellweger hadn't heard of. She explained she got the role through casting. The film needed a striking Latina woman, and her image was a perfect fit. Renee Zellweger asked if she'd be willing to switch agencies, offering to introduce her to Utah. Jennifer Lopez immediately agreed. Although Utah had only been established for less than 2 years, it was growing rapidly and was already among the top 5 agencies in the industry, much stronger than her previous agency. Renee Zellweger took Lopez's phone number, saying she would contact her when she returned to Los Angeles. Lopez left happily. Renee, why did you invite her to join Utah? It's a secret, Renee Zellweger laughed. Stop keeping secrets, just tell us. Julianne Moore looked at her and reached out to tickle her waist. Renee Zellweger covered her mouth and chuckled, leaning on Julianne's shoulder, saying she wanted to introduce Lopez to Link, thinking Link would like this hot girl. Introduce her to Link? Are you crazy? Julianne Moore looked at her in confusion. Renee Zellweger shrugged, whispered in Julianne's ear, and gestured with her fingers to indicate length. Julianne Moore's face flushed as she listened, her eyes involuntarily turning to Link. Cut, that's a wrap. The main character had a lot of scenes in the dorm, which took 4 days to film. Link then took the crew to the University of British Columbia in Vancouver to film the campus scenes. There were also a lot of campus scenes, including the male lead attending classes, participating in fraternity activities, the male lead's second time travel and dating Kelly at school, and the third time travel where Little Devil Tommy becomes a model student, Kelly and Chubby Lenny become a couple, etc. This part of the storyline has over 80 scenes and is expected to take 7 or 8 days to film. If it rains in Vancouver, it will take even longer. During filming, Monica Bellucci, Jennifer Connelly, and Liu Zhaili would sometimes fly over to visit the set, chatting about work and life. and enjoying some intimate moments. With Renee Zellweger and the newly joined Julianne Moore, even on rainy days, there was no loneliness or boredom. While filming in Vancouver, Link also kept up with the box office of new movies and major Hollywood news. In its 7th week of release, Dumb and Dumber grossed over $100 million in North America, reaching a cumulative total of $103 million. Complete Film magazine predicts the film will gross over $120 million, making it the first film to surpass $100 million at the North American box office this year. Its overseas box office performance is also good. In 4 weeks, it has earned $52.31 million in 38 countries and regions, and its overseas box office is also expected to exceed $100 million. This film is also the first film independently distributed overseas by Guest C Pictures, which will likely receive a larger share of the box office revenue. The box office success of Dumb and Dumber has made many filmmakers envious, leading to a surge of negative news about the film in the media. In a media interview, renowned producer Fred Oren stated that Hollywood films are soon doomed because current blockbusters are dominated by hype-driven gimmicks like Paranormal Activity and The Blair Witch Project, as well as lowbrow comedies with no moral boundaries and no logic, such as Ace Ventura, Pet Detective and Dumb and Dumber. He argued that the success of these films encourages more filmmakers and studios to produce similar movies, rather than classic art films like Citizen Kane, Gone with the Wind, and Schindler's List, which he considers a terrible thing and should be taken seriously. Oren's words resonated with many filmmakers, with some reiterating the bad money drives out good argument. However, those publicly criticizing Link are mostly relatively unknown. Established figures are hesitant to speak out, fearing the fate of Robert Downey Jr. and Richard Gere might befall them. Others have also countered Oren's arguments. Renowned film critic Will Rogers wrote that since the birth of cinema, every year there have been concerns about its demise. From the silent era to sound films, from black and white to color, all filmmakers worried about being eliminated have predicted the industry's decline. However, the film industry has only grown stronger and will not decline due to a minor setback. Rogers believes that even if Hollywood does decline in the future, it won't be because of films that audiences like, but because audiences no longer support cinema. Just as audiences today have abandoned silent and black and white films. Therefore, the box office success of innovative films like Paranormal Activity and Dumb and Dumber is a symbol of a thriving film market, indicating that audiences prefer newer films to outdated ones. Rogers believes the film industry should learn from the innovative thinking of Link and Guess the Movies, producing more diverse and engaging films. He contrasts this with Fred Olen and others who label the success of such films as a sign of the industry's decline, attributing it to outdated language and ideas. In its 7th week of release, Dumb and Dumber was in its 9th week, with Pulp Fiction having grossed $62.84 million, increasing by $1 to $2 million weekly in over 400 theaters with minimal declines. At this rate, it was expected to surpass $100 million by the end of the year. This was a respectable result, but Quentin Tarantino's resentment was palpable even to Link in Vancouver, 2,000 kilometers away. Tarantino had initially estimated Pulp Fiction's North American box office to be over $300 million, but in reality, it would take a year to reach $100 million, a huge gap. Tarantino genuinely felt that breaking $100 million at the box office was incredibly difficult, while for Link, it seemed effortless. This amplified Tarantino's resentment, leading to sarcastic remarks every time he called, as if he had a lemon tree growing in his mouth, the smell of which could be smelled even from over 2,000 kilometers away. Chapter 223 The Palme d'Or. Quentin, when does your new movie start shooting? Link interrupted Quentin's rambling, changing the subject. A new movie? What new movie? Pulp Fiction has already been released, and the promotional period is almost over. Shouldn't you be thinking about your next movie now? As directors, our most important task is to create an infinite number of brilliant films within our limited lifespan. The more, the better. Instead of complaining to me about Miramax's poor marketing, the slow box office growth, and how weird my movies are, you should be seriously planning your next film, aiming for it to quickly break $100 million at the box office, even surpassing Paranormal Activity. Judging from the current situation, Pulp Fiction's North American box office is at most $120 million. It's impossible for it to reach more, while your next movie has unlimited potential. Why not prepare in advance? Okay, you're right, Quentin said, clearly annoyed. He and Link debuted around the same time. Link is currently filming his 6th movie, while his second movie has just been released. In terms of speed, efficiency, and performance, he's far behind. The comparison with Link is incredibly disheartening. Since you agree with my point of view, start preparing early and create a good movie. Otherwise, you'll complain like this again after the next failure. No, my next movie will definitely not fail. I'll get better box office results. Yes, good luck. Link shook his head. Quentin was a talented director, but his creative speed was too slow, and his attention was easily distracted. He only made 10 movies in his lifetime, averaging one every 4 years, making him a disgrace to the directing world. He needed a push to focus on his work. After hanging up, Link continued to check the box office figures for the week. In the 7th week of Dumb and Dumber's release, North America entered the summer movie season, with a plethora of blockbusters this year. Brandon Lee's action blockbuster The Crow was scheduled for May 12th. Paramount Pictures blockbuster Beverly Hills Cop 3 was scheduled for May 25th. Universal Pictures animated blockbuster The Flintstones was scheduled for May 27th. The Western film Bet on Maverick, starring Mel Gibson and Jodie Foster, is set for release on May 27th. Disney's animated blockbuster The Lion King is set for June 15th. Forrest Gump is set for July 6th, and the thriller The Client, starring Joel Schumacher and Susan Sarandon, is set for July 20th. James Cameron's action blockbuster True Lies, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, is set for July 29th. And Guess Who's Got It's action blockbuster Speed is set for June 10th. This year marks the 99th anniversary of cinema, and it's a year of blockbuster releases. The 7 major studios and several independent film companies all have major films releasing. Many are eagerly awaiting which film will break through and become the summer box office champion. Scene 213, Shot 1, Action. Regardless of the fierce competition of this summer blockbuster season, Link remains calmly filming in Vancouver, coaching Leonardo DiCaprio and several actors. In early May, he took a short break and flew to Cannes, France, to attend the 47th Cannes International Film Festival Awards ceremony. This year's Cannes Film Festival was highly competitive, with 25 films nominated for the main competition. These included Link 7, Zhang Yimou's To Live, Giuseppe Tornatore's Station, Patrice Chaihaut's Queen Margot, Nikita Mikhalkov's Burnt by the Sun, and the Coen brothers' Money Empire. All were classic films directed by internationally renowned directors. During the festival, Link 7 received high praise from European film critics. Daniel DeViro said it had a great chance of winning, which was why he took time out of his busy schedule to come to Cannes. After several days of judging, Link 7 received the overwhelming majority of votes from the jury members, winning the Palme d'Or for Best Film. To Live and Burnt by the Sun received the special jury prize. Italian director Nanni Moretti won the Best Director award for Dear Diary. J.U. won the Cannes Best Actor award for his outstanding performance in To Live, and the French film Extreme Fatigue won the Best Screenplay award, among others. Link originally hoped to win the Best Director award at the Cannes Film Festival for this film, but it ended up being the Palme d'Or. Although there was a slight discrepancy, it wasn't a wasted trip. Director Link, congratulations on winning the grand prize. As Link walked off the stage with a trophy, Gong Li stood up with a beaming smile to congratulate him. The woman wore a red embroidered cheongsam, her figure voluptuous and shapely. Her bust and hips stood out among the slender figures of Asian actresses. Although she was almost 30, it wasn't a flaw in her physique. Every gesture exuded the charm of a mature woman, truly befitting the muse of the fifth-generation film directors. Haha, I was quite surprised to win this award too. Link shook hands with Ms. Gong. This is what you deserve. 7 is a fantastic film, the most moving one I've seen this year. It will definitely be hailed as a classic by moviegoers after its release. Gong Li's beautiful oval face showed a hint of seriousness and emotion, revealing her genuine fondness for 7. Thank you, Gong Li. Your acting is also excellent. You make even the most ordinary characters incredibly captivating. This ability is rare among Hollywood actresses. Have you considered developing your career in Hollywood? I have, but it's difficult for Chinese actors to get suitable roles in Hollywood. Gong Li hesitated. Gong Li, you are a genius actress with exceptional talent. The domestic film industry is too small to provide the necessary nourishment for your growth. Hollywood can. If you'd like to develop your career in Hollywood, feel free to contact me. I can't guarantee you'll become a global superstar, but arranging suitable roles for you shouldn't be too difficult. Link handed her a business card. Seeing director Zhang fidgeting and glancing over, Link nodded to him and returned to his seat with a trophy. Gong Li glanced at the business card in her hand, a hint of interest and longing in her eyes. Gong Li, what were you and Link talking about? Director Zhang quickly leaned closer. Link asked me if I wanted to develop my career in Hollywood. Go to Hollywood? Forget about it. It's very difficult for Chinese actors to make it in Hollywood. Chen Chong and Wu Junmei struggled in Hollywood for years, and now they've returned to China. But you're a native-born Chinese actress, your roots are here, your audience is here. It's hard to succeed outside of China, the domestic film industry is too small. It's hard for me to have room for further advancement. To continue developing, I need to go to a broader platform. Hollywood is a place worth the risk. Gong Li's eyes gradually hardened. Director Zhang was displeased. Gong Li, don't listen to Link's nonsense. How come you don't have room for advancement in China? Isn't the Hong Kong film industry bigger than the mainland? You can go there to develop your career first. I have connections there. Gong Li shook her head. The Hong Kong industry is too small. The competition is fierce, and it's hard for outsiders to break in. Even local Hong Kong actors are starting to develop in Hollywood. Why can't I skip Hong Kong and go straight to Hollywood? Xiao Li, why are you so stubborn? Don't you know Link is a playboy? The newspapers say he's had affairs with many actresses. His purpose in tricking you into going to Hollywood is definitely not pure. Don't be fooled by him. You mean Link is interested in me and wants to use this method to trick me? Gong Li blinked, somewhat surprised. Very likely, then I should go to Hollywood even more. With a rich man like Link taking care of me, I'll develop better in Hollywood than in China. Gong Li laughed. Xiao Li, I know you're not that kind of person. Don't be angry with me, I'm serious. If you want me to stay, you'll have to give me a proper status. Can you do that? Director Zhang scratched his ear. As a married man, he couldn't give such a promise. Gong Li sneered and left the scene with the audience. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 224 Filming Wrapped. After the Cannes Film Festival Awards ceremony, Link was invited to a reception at the Palais des Festivals in Cannes. He attended with Sophie Marceau. At the party, Link met several international filmmakers, including Italian director Giuseppe Tornatore, known for Cinema Paradiso, Taiwanese director Edward Yang, French director Luc Besson, and famous actors Jerry, Catherine Deneuve, and Isabelle Adjani. He also met the somewhat unfriendly director Zhang, who seemed rather distant. Link discussed collaborations with the international filmmakers, suggesting they contact Guest C Pictures if the projects lacked funding, as Guest C Pictures was eager to work with him. Except for Zhang, the other international filmmakers responded positively. During the conversation, they learned that Luc Besson's new film, Léon, the Professional, had also participated in the Cannes Film Festival, though not in the awards competition. Upon hearing about Léon, the Professional, Link expressed interest in seeing it. After watching the film in a screening, he offered $4.5 million for the theatrical and video distribution rights in North America. The film, with a production cost of $16 million, has not yet been released, and its box office performance is unknown. The $4.5 million rights fee was the highest offered by any distribution company, which director Luc Besson readily accepted. After finalizing the deal, Link traveled to Paris to sign the rights contract, staying at Sophie Marceau's apartment for 2 days and 2 nights before flying back to the United States. Following the closing of the Cannes Film Festival, news of Link's new film winning the Palme d'Or was widely reported by American media, sparking heated discussions within Hollywood. Many were baffled as to how a film by the notoriously trash movie director Link could gain recognition from the Cannes Film Festival jury and win its most prestigious award. It seemed highly illogical. Some media figures suspected that the Cannes Film Festival's selection criteria had lowered, allowing Link to snag the Palme d'Or. Others speculated that Link spent a fortune on public relations during the festival to buy the award, given his net worth of over $1 billion. Many were curious about the nature of Link's new film and why it deserved the award. Many media reporters went to interview Clint Eastwood, the president of the jury at this year's Cannes Film Festival and a renowned American actor and director. Eastwood briefly answered the reporters' questions, calling Link's new film a classic. He praised its plot, camera work, color, editing, and visual effects, saying they all reached an extremely high level, and awarding him the Palme d'Or was out of respect for cinematic art. Eastwood, who won the Academy Award for Best Director in 1993 for Unforgiven, is a representative of Hollywood's powerful actors and directors, possessing top-tier fame and status in the entertainment industry. His reputation and prestige are very high, and he wouldn't speak carelessly. Hearing Eastwood's high praise for Link's new film, everyone became even more curious about its quality. Even Quentin Tarantino called Link to ask what the film was about and why it deserved the Palme d'Or. Link said it was a secret. Guess what? Films also timely announced the release date of July 15th. Everyone is welcome to give their opinions on this film and see if the Cannes Film Festival's selection is fair and just. After returning from France, Link continued filming The Butterfly Effect in Vancouver. Scene 312, Action. This scene depicts the male lead finding Kelly again after his second time travel. His first love, Kelly, has become a prostitute with an ugly scar on her face, living a very miserable life. To play the role of a prostitute well, Renée Zellweger sought help from two low-level streetwalkers during filming, learning about their lives, their way of speaking, their body language, their walking posture, and even their occupational hazard. During the performance, Renée put on makeup, walked unsteadily, and swayed her hips, instantly transforming from a sunny and cheerful Texas girl into a low-class prostitute battered and bruised by life. "Are you sure you don't want your wallet?" Kelly asked, picking up Evan's wallet in the restaurant. "No, I don't need a wallet where I'm going," Evan said, tears streaming down his face. "So, you're going to change everyone's lives again, is that it?" Kelly rudely left her purse on the table and said loudly, "Maybe next time you wake up, you'll be in some mansion, while I'll be doing some lowly business in Tijuana. You know I've had enough of this. Every time I try to help someone, everything goes wrong," Evan said painfully. "Is that so? Don't give up so soon. You've already done so much to me. Why don't you go back in time and save Mrs. Hobbin and her baby?" Kelly said fiercely. "Maybe then Lenny wouldn't have gone crazy and killed Tommy, and my family wouldn't have been destroyed. No, why not go back to when I was 7 and do those things to me in front of my dad's camera? You could have just killed me." Kelly staggered to her feet, grabbed her purse, and threw it at Evan before turning and leaving the restaurant. Evan covered his face, his expression pained. Cut. That's a wrap. Even though he called it a wrap, Leonardo DiCaprio remained seated, tears streaming down his face, looking depressed and pained. He seemed completely immersed in the role. This was also the result of Link's deliberate guidance over the past month. Under his guidance, the lead actors, including Leonardo DiCaprio, gained a deeper understanding of their characters and became increasingly immersed in their roles, resulting in richer emotional expression during the performances. This state made their performances more natural and fluid, and their acting level improved significantly, with many scenes completed in one take, leaving almost no room for error. However, there were also downsides. The actors' deep immersion in their roles led to an increasingly oppressive atmosphere on set, making interactions with them feel like conversations with the characters themselves. This was particularly pronounced with Leonardo DiCaprio. In the early stages of filming, DiCaprio was the most active member of the crew, often joking and playing around with the cast and crew, which was quite unsettling. By the time they were about a third of the way through filming, as the plot progressed, DiCaprio gradually became melancholic, and the situation worsened towards the end. According to Mark Wahlberg, who played the second male lead, sometimes DiCaprio would be alone in his room, staring blankly at the script, like Evan reading a diary, which was quite unsettling. As a result, Link had to arrange for a psychologist to be on set to monitor the lead actors and prevent them from becoming overly immersed in their roles. Overly immersive acting can make actors react slowly, requiring a long adjustment period during scene transitions, and is also detrimental to filming. "Leon, are you alright?" Link sat down across from Leonardo DiCaprio for a chat. "I'm fine," Leonardo replied, wiping his eyes. "You should know we're filming, right?" Link poured a cup of hot cocoa and pushed it towards DiCaprio. "I know," Leonardo nodded, holding his hot coffee, gazing absently at the steam rising from the cup. "I was just thinking about when I was 8, a very good friend of mine accidentally fell into a swimming pool and never came up again. I was wondering if his death was related to me. If I had been there that day, and had warned him not to go into the water, or called for help in time, maybe he wouldn't have died. He would have gone to college, gotten married, had children, and grown up happily." "Your thinking is wrong. Buddha said that life and death are impermanent. Everyone's birth and death are predetermined. Even if you could save him once, you couldn't save him a second time. Besides, his death is a warning to those around him: stay away from dangerous areas, don't do dangerous things, cherish life. If his death hadn't served as a warning, you and your friends would have gone to deep water to risk your lives and do things that would kill you. Trying to save him is tantamount to murdering someone else. Leonardo was stunned by his words, wanting to refute him but finding that what he said made a lot of sense. After a drowning incident in the swimming pool when he was a child, the community closed the public pool, depriving them of a place to play in the water. He also developed a fear of water, afraid to swim in deep water, a situation shared by his friends. If that friend hadn't drowned, would they have been afraid of water? Would they have dared to venture into deep water? Let go of the urge to help others, respect the fate of others. That's the healthiest attitude towards life. Link patted him on the shoulder. Leonardo nodded silently, watching Link's departing figure, suddenly feeling a sense of admiration for him. This guy was only 22, yet he was as mature as a wise and learned elder. Such people were worth learning from. Once Leonardo had recovered, the crew continued filming. Since the film didn't have many large-scale scenes, and involved few special effects, it was easy for an experienced filmmaker like him to shoot. With the cast performing exceptionally well, Link completed all the scenes for the butterfly effect in less than 2 months. After filming, Link took the crew back to Los Angeles to rest for a few days and spend time with his girlfriends. Chapter 225: Moving to a Luxury Home. In June, Los Angeles enters summer, with hotter and drier weather than Vancouver. Unlike Vancouver's maritime climate, which is prone to rain, the weather in Los Angeles often disrupts filming schedules. This is probably one of the reasons why Vancouver, the Hollywood of the North, despite its many years of development, still lags behind Los Angeles. The morning was pleasant, and Link and Monica were playing tennis on the court east of the villa. He was shirtless, wearing athletic shorts and sneakers, his upper body muscular, his bronze skin gleaming metallically in the morning light. His muscles, though not large, exuded a wild and explosive power, giving him a very robust appearance. Monica, opposite him, wore a white sports vest, black leggings, and a long ponytail. Her form-fitting clothes accentuated her full curves, her fair skin glowing with a healthy glow, sexy and vibrant. After only 3 sets, Monica was slightly out of breath, sweat beading on her neck and chest. "Honey, are you alright?" "Great, I can keep going." Monica held her racket horizontally, unwilling to give up. "That's enough for today, the guests will be here soon." Link stopped the grass-green ball and said, "Okay." Monica put down her racket, sat down on the plastic floor, and wiped the sweat from her forehead with her wristband. "Don't get cocky. We'll play again when Sophia and Mira arrive. The 3 of us against you will definitely beat you. You can try." Link smiled, walked over to Monica, picked her up and patted her big bottom in his arms, then went back to the villa for a bath in the large bathtub. This was a luxury villa area in the northeast of Beverly Hills, at the foot of Beverly Hills, not far from the Beverly Boulevard, Wilshire Boulevard, and Rodeo Drive shopping district. The environment was beautiful, the transportation was convenient, and the security was among the best in Los Angeles. Luxury villas were everywhere, and mansions priced at over $10 million were commonplace. Link's mansion was in the hillside, which he bought from Hungarian billionaire Stefan Has at the end of last year. The villa was named Kaiser Villa and was designed and built by the famous architect Howard Becken. Purchased for $22.5 million, it's currently the most expensive property in Beverly Hills, and with rising Los Angeles real estate prices, the future price is expected to be even higher. After 6 months of renovations, it was recently occupied and renamed Link Villa. Calling it Caesar Villa would be considered unlucky and too ostentatious. Link Villa sits on 4.5 acres, with a main building exceeding 3 acres, offering approximately 1,662 square meters of living space. It boasts 10 bedrooms, 11 bathrooms, 2 sports fields, a swimming pool, a gazebo, a small botanical garden, and a car park with a fountain. The villa is situated on a high point. From the 2nd floor, one can overlook the bustling streets of Beverly Hills below, the distant downtown Los Angeles, and the Pacific Ocean to the west, a beautiful view. The only drawback is its susceptibility to fire. Currently, only Link and Monica live there, along with 3 maids, 2 cooks, and a litter of cats and dogs. He previously invited Liu Xiaoli to bring Liu Qianqian to stay, as it would be safer and more spacious there, allowing her to practice piano and dance without disturbing the neighbors. The surrounding primary and secondary schools are all top-tier private schools, making it more convenient for Liu Qianqian to attend school here. However, Liu Xiaoli has some concerns and is still considering it. Link didn't urge her. The reason he spent a lot of money to buy this villa wasn't to keep a beautiful woman or for enjoyment, but because with his rising wealth and status in Hollywood, he received more attention. When he lived in the Golden Oak apartments, people often tried to get close to him and build relationships. Paparazzi even tried to sneak into the apartment complex to photograph him and Monica and others, resulting in photos of him dating Monica, Jennifer, Sophia, Brooke Shields, and others frequently appearing in the media. For privacy and security reasons, moving here would be more suitable. However, he would still keep the Golden Oak apartments, as it's close to the company and he could stay there when he was busy. After taking a bath together, Link and Monica changed into comfortable casual clothes, and soon a maid came to tell them that their guests had arrived. Link arrived at the front yard, where several sports cars drove in from the driveway, carrying Nicolas Cage, Johnny Depp, Keanu Reeves, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Jim Carrey, and their female companions. Wow, Link, your villa is gorgeous. It's even more luxurious than Buckingham Palace, Nicolas Cage exclaimed loudly after driving around the villa and stopping at the gate. The villa was indeed large and luxurious, with an artistic style, but it paled in comparison to Buckingham Palace. It's not that exaggerated, just a little bigger, Link said, walking down the steps to welcome them. Link, with so much space and so many houses, have you considered renting it out? I'm planning to move soon, Ben Affleck asked, stroking a plaster statue by the roadside. Don't talk nonsense. Who would rent out such a nice villa? Matt Damon cautioned Ben Affleck against making irresponsible remarks. Ben, you don't need to worry about these houses being empty. If Link's 47 girlfriends all come to stay, the problem will be having too few houses, Jim Carrey said with a mischievous grin. Haha, that seems to be true, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon laughed. Stop kidding, Link invited them into the living room to chat. Monica also came out to greet their female companions, Nicolas Cage's fiancée Patricia Arquette, Keanu Reeves' girlfriend Jennifer, Johnny Depp's new girlfriend Kate Moss, and others. They chatted, drank, and played cards together. With Nicolas Cage, Jim Carrey, and Ben Affleck, three people known for their antics, the atmosphere was quite lively. After a while, Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, Daniel DeVito, Sofia Coppola, Renee Zellweger, and others arrived one after another. The party became even more lively and noisy. Link, you're amazing. Back in 1991, we were all living in those rundown youth hostels. Just over 2 years later, you're living in the most luxurious villa in Beverly Hills. How did you manage to do that? Quentin Tarantino stood on the balcony, gazing at the spacious lawn, the beautifully landscaped gardens, and the silhouette of downtown Los Angeles in the distance. Seeing all this, Quentin couldn't help but feel a pang of envy. Of the group that lived in the youth hostels, he was the first to move to Beverly Hills, and even though it was a rented apartment, it was still much better than the others. Link was the second to move to Beverly Hills. Now Link had moved to a luxurious villa area in the Beverly Hills. While he was still renting a 3-bedroom apartment in Beverly Hills, he used to be happy and content. But with Link's presence, that happiness was gone, as if it had been stolen, leaving him feeling empty. I live here because it's convenient and safe. It's not easy to be photographed by paparazzi, Link said. Indeed. It's very secluded here. It's not easy to do bad things without being seen. Quentin's mouth was full of sour grapes. Link didn't want to argue. I've already given you the first 2 batches of box office revenue from Pulp Fiction. How about you buy a villa too? Pulp Fiction has grossed nearly $70 million in North America and $120 million worldwide. Quentin's Outlaws Pictures gets 5% of the box office revenue and 3% of the global revenue. The 2 batches of revenue totaled over $3 million, enough to buy a small villa in the upscale Bel Air neighborhood next door. No way. Villas are nice, but they're too deserted, no life at all. Aren't you worried about ghosts? Quentin asked with a wicked grin. I'm not as timid as you. How's your new movie going? Link changed the subject. Still writing the script. Aren't you going to make Kill Bill next? I came up with a great idea while filming Pulp Fiction. I plan to film that first, and then consider Kill Bill, Okay, whatever. If you're thinking of giving up on the Kill Bill project, you can let me know. Of course I won't give up the script, and don't even think about it anymore. Kill Bill is mine, Quentin said warily. Nobody's going to take it from you, Link Quentin, come play cards, Ben Affleck shouted. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.